It is 10 o'clock. Welcome in. This is Three Man Front. We are live at Social Taco. Pat and Landrum with you until 2 o'clock. Molly back in the studios high atop Red Mountain of Cumulus Media. We welcome you into the program. It should be a lot of fun today, including Mike Griffith, Richard Hendricks, David Waters from the Gators Breakdown podcast. We got a lot to get into, and also a brand new menu here at Social Taco. And I mean, the listeners of Jocks 94.5 today at 11 o'clock when the doors open up, they're going to get an opportunity. We were just up here talking with Taylor. This is exciting.
This is really exciting.
I mean, this is some great stuff on this new menu.
Yeah, it feels like they created this menu
for us,
tailor-made for Three Man Front and the Great Jocks listeners.
Just to be honest, it's for us.
Well, I didn't want to say it.
Why not?
But yeah,
it
feels like this is created for us. The apps, one of the new apps I got the quesadilla nachos, the buffalo chicken Mexican pizza that they've added to their repertoire, their arsenal, if you will.
Yep.
It's amazing, Pat. Also, we got wings now.
Yes. How about that, Molly?
It's not just
wings.
Chicken feathers. We've got wings, Pat.
And there's a burger.
Ooh,
there is a burger.
I love burgers too.
You can also get a Buffalo Gringo taco. You can go with a dirty crunchy. That sounds intriguing. And then also some other great things. Of course, today is Taco Tuesday. You get the $4 individual tacos all day, no limit. Coming up tomorrow, you get Margarita Wednesday with the $6 margaritas. Saturday and Sunday brunch, 10 to 2:30, the bottomless tapas brunch we tell you about. And a lot of other things coming up. Now that the warmer weather is here, that is when it's a festive time, especially here at Social Taco.
It is. So come on by and see us. We're here now. And the doors will officially open up at 11 o'clock. But, if you tell them, Landrum, they're going to let you in probably a little bit early. So just
It depends on who you tell.
Just come on up here to the Taco Terrace. We will be awaiting your arrival here on Jocks 94.5. News coming out of the NFL just moments ago. The NFL owners, they were voting today on the tush push. What are they going to do? Now, 9 teams needed to vote to keep it. There's 32 teams in the NFL. So if you're doing the math, 23 teams had to vote to say, we don't want it anymore. 9 could block it, okay, and keep it. And they have now decided to table it. They're going to kick the can down the road. They said they want some more information before they officially vote on it. And just reading some of the reports from the owners' meetings down in Florida, it says the tabling opens up the rule to potentially have the language tweaked than what it currently is. And so while the play itself might not be banned as of today, it could look a lot different going forward. So proponents of the play, including the Eagles, they do not like this result. So they don't like what they're hearing. It was tabled today, so we'll see what happens. The next owners' meeting is going to happen in May. So, but as of this moment, the tush push survives at least one more day, Molly. Are you happy about that, or you don't care? You disgruntled Eagles fan? What do you think? Do you think this thing should survive?
I mean, I don't really care. If you don't like it, then stop it. Like, that's
There you
kind
go.
of the way that I see it.
Play better defense, right?
Well, look, I can see the rule that we had on extra points and field goals that came out where you can't launch, and that's a player safety issue.
Right.
I know that they're claiming the tush push is potentially a player safety issue, but I don't really see the big difference. Keep the tush push. Everybody needs a little push every now and then.
Especially from the tush.
Right? Who doesn't want a little encouragement or help from their friends?
Yeah. So that's the big story right now, the NFL. They were thinking that they were going to be able to vote on that this morning, and now it appears that it is moving forward. Also from the NFL, this has kind of been a secret that was not really a secret, because on Friday it was rumored that Peter Schrager, who from Fox Sports and one of the hosts for Good Morning Football, that he was going to leave the NFL Network and head to ESPN. Well, yesterday was his final morning on Good Morning Football, as he did not say where he was going, but he said that yesterday was his last day, and now Front Office Sports is reporting. As a matter of fact, ESPN has just announced that they have finalized a deal with the NFL reporter Peter Schrager. Schrager, whose final day was yesterday, as I mentioned, he is now going to be seen across ESPN studio programming like Get Up, First Take, The Pat McAfee Show, and, of course, NFL Live. So Peter Schrager now making the move. He is joining Disney and the NFL folks there at the
Peter does a really good job.
No, he's one of my favorite guys.
Yeah.
I have been I have been watching Good Morning Football since its inception, when it was himself, Kay Adams, Nate Bertelson, and Kyle Brandt. And I just think those guys just do a tremendous job. It's kind of changed because Kay Adams left and Nate Burleson left for CBS. So there's been a lot of changes, but the one constant has been Peter Schrager, and he is someone that I just like his style, like the way that in his reporting. So, but he is on his way to ESPN, so that is now.
He seemed like someone that doesn't have too high of opinion of himself.
Yep.
Just seems like the every guy kind of guy.
Yep. So he will be able to contribute. So getting him on board now. It's also interesting because the NFL Network has been in conversations with ESPN about ESPN buying the NFL Network. So that's
what does that cost?
About $2 billion, I think.
Ugh.
That's one of the numbers I heard. Speaking about billions.
Yeah, well, I was going to say they could call Mike Griffith.
Yes, because he is now the land magnet that he is.
We call him Uncle Mike. Hopefully he remembers his dear nephews.
Hey, listen, me and Mike had a long conversation about real estate last week. I really like what Mike's doing.
You told me you learned so much.
I did. I mean, listen, Mike has got this thing pegged, and I'm checking dates myself. I might be one of the first person from Three Man Front to take advantage of Mike's property down there. Seriously. I mean, it is fantastic.
No, it's beautiful, Mike. Congratulations.
Well, I appreciate it, but remember, Kalen DeBoer had a great offensive system last season too. So, the best laid plans. I mean, it's, you got to rely on the execution and to some extent circumstance. So, fingers crossed. And it is nice though, to have property in Alabama. Like I said, I mean, it's where I was born, and you guys know I've always followed that state. Probably throws a few people for a loop listening. They're like, wait a minute, this guy covers Georgia. Well,
this guy hates Alabama. Why is he buying property in Alabama?
I really don't. But it's business, and Alabama's a great investment. It's a great state. It's a tremendous working class of people. The government, I feel like, is in good shape politically. Again, I don't want to go too far off the rails there, but I like the way the state's being run personally. I'm not saying there's not problems. Everybody's got, there's going to be things, and everybody, can find something. But, when you take a look at the profile of the state of Alabama right now in the Southeast, and you look where the growth is going to be, to me, it's just a no-brainer. And then when I have gone to beaches, and I've done a lot of beaches, a lot of, trips and hotel points and stuff like that, not out of my pockets, but all those Marriott points go. That beach line is it's gorgeous. It's like a really well kept. There's probably some people like, stop talking about it. They don't want people to know, but the Alabama beach line is beautiful, and the businesses are maintained impeccably. So it's just Gulf Shores is amazing. From the time I lived down there in the early to mid '90s, it's a complete transformation. It's gorgeous, and I think they're going to they're going to open up that Gulf Shores airport to public flights pretty soon.
They are. And I think the toll bridge just got turned back over to the state.
It did.
That was originally promised. Yeah. So you're coming in at the right time, Mike.
I mean, it seems like the right time to me. And like I said, I want to, like I told you guys, the WJOX, folks that listen, I throw that 10% discount out there because that's the clientele I want there. I want sports fans down there. I want people, that have a zest and enjoyment of life and, have a familiarity. To me, over, some random person walking in. So, that's why I say, hey, if they go through you guys, I'll give them a 10% discount.
Yeah, and so listen, we've had people text us in on the show on the Courtesy GMC text line, 205-834-9450. So if you are interested, all kidding aside, I know we like to have fun here with Mike every Tuesday, but it is, all kidding aside, it is an absolutely fantastic property. And so for those that would like some more information, just text us on the Courtesy GMC text line at 205-834-9450, and then we can point you in the right direction and get you in touch with Mike and make that happen, because it really is. It is a fantastic property in a great locale. All right, Mike, let's talk a little bit about what happened in Atlanta over the weekend. You were there.
Yeah.
I heard you asking some great
great questions, Mike.
Yep, probing questions in the post game. Just tell us what you witnessed and what do you think about this Auburn team moving forward?
Well, so I'll start on a personal note. I covered Bruce Pearl for 6 years at Tennessee, and I got to know him extremely well. And it was really gratifying for me. You know, you always hear people say, well, what team do you root for? Well, you don't really root for a team. You root for people. And Bruce Pearl is really at the top of the list for me because of the person that he is. I mean, he's just an incredibly personable, enthusiastic, brilliant guy, who takes on life his way. You know that. He's not afraid to put his opinions out there. I respect and admire that. He was viewed as a bit of a maverick in the coaching ranks. I think most people know his story. I think he got blackballed early in his career. I think this guy was a rising star, and he turned another program in for cheating, and which is technically what you're supposed to do. And I think that got him blackballed in the industry, and Tennessee was smart enough to pull him out of Wisconsin, Milwaukee, and he led them to unprecedented heights and was doing a fantastic job. And then he had, the issue with the Ohio State recruit that was committed to him. I'm sorry, the Ohio player was committed to him and literally called him up and said, hey, can I stop by your house? I heard you got a team gathering. The guy was a commitment, but technically you're not supposed to have kids off campus during a visit. Now, this was a guy that had been committed for 9 months. It was a weekend of a Tennessee-Florida game. The parents call him, say, can we stop by? They stop by for 15 minutes at the barbecue. That's it. That's the actual infraction. The problem came in the compliance and when Ohio State turned him in after Bruce beat them in the Elite Eight. Thad Matta, tit for tat, said, oh, yeah,
right.
You beat us, but we're going to turn you in. And they basically sold the player, Aaron Kraft. They went in behind the committed player and, did what they had to do to get him, et cetera. And so the family cooperates, with Ohio State because now they're Ohio State people. And Bruce gets thrown under the bus. The SEC at the time was dealing with the Cam Newton saga, felt powerless, even though I think there was an admission that Newton's dad was offered, $600,000 by Mississippi State, I think the facts were. And so what did Auburn do? Well, nobody knows or anything, can prove anything. So basically the joke was the SEC is so mad about the Cam Newton situation that they're going to suspend Bruce Pearl. So they suspended Bruce for 8 games, which was unprecedented and ridiculous at the time. And Tennessee, even though they said they were going to keep Bruce, ended up rolling over on him. Now, he was later proven not to have committed this bump violation that eventually led to his firing. So he basically got fired for nothing. And he had to sit out for a couple of years. And, a lot of people thought, well, that's the end of the road for Bruce Pearl. But he comes back. Interestingly enough, one of the people on the enforcement staff that did the investigation on Bruce Pearl was at Auburn that also hired him. So that tells you just that he did basically nothing. But for him to come back and build this program to this extent and bring this level of enthusiasm and passion for the game, it's gratifying for me to see him complete this journey. I noted that in this bracket, there was Louisville, Michigan State, and Michigan. Those were 3 programs that ended Bruce Pearl's tournaments at Tennessee. So I call it the revenge of Bruce Pearl. Now, Louisville got knocked out before he could beat them, but he took down Michigan and Michigan State. And, for me, having been in St. Louis, watching Michigan State beat him by 1 in an Elite Eight with Draymond Green, having watched Michigan dealt him his final loss as a head coach at Tennessee and Charlotte, he never used the word revenge. I did because I wrote the storylines. It was really gratifying to see this thing come full circle, and it was gratifying to see how much fun and joy his players play with. It's just like Tennessee. All his teams are like this. He is the common denominator of building team chemistry, energy, enthusiasm, fun, excitement. Man, if you're an Auburn basketball fan, it probably doesn't get any better. I know it's never been any better.
Mike, seeing this team play in person, I don't know if you'd seen them prior to this point this season, but what you thought you knew about this Auburn team, what else did you learn after this weekend?
Well, I learned about their resiliency. Michigan had them down, and Michigan had good matchups. And, I covered the Michigan State game against Ole Miss the game before for the AJC, so I walked out. They were down 8. And, I guess I must have brought my Forrest Gump magic with me because they went from down 8 to just, it was like, okay, it's just like old times, like back in Thompson Bowling. Like, they're hitting shots, they're spinning around, they're smiling at the crowd, Broom's pumping his fist. And it doesn't seem arrogant or cocky to me. It really just seems like passion and love for the game. And, look, these guys have the highest ceiling left in the tournament. Now, I can't tell you how they're going to shoot the 3 ball. I can't tell you whether it's going to fall. We learned our lesson with Alabama. if Alabama saves those 25 threes for Duke, they beat Duke. But, they don't shoot well, so they lose. And you just go, damn, that's, like Mark Few said at Gonzaga, it's not a best-of-7 series. Maybe I still think Alabama's, I like the Alabama team a lot. I still think they're probably, one of the top 2 teams in the country. But they didn't have a good shooting night. And, Duke is Duke, and they don't beat themselves. So it'll be really interesting to watch Duke play Houston. I didn't really learn anything new about Auburn. It's just it's Bruce Pearl. I mean, I'm telling you, and Broom, Janai Broom, boy, when he gets going, he's amazing. But when other guys start hitting, they get pretty doggone unbeatable. So that said, I don't know what's going to happen next. Florida's a heck of a matchup. They've got great guard play. They beat Auburn earlier this season, obviously. I did get a kick out of Bruce's kind of joke, subtle jab at his players when he sat up there, and I don't know if you guys remember this, and he goes, I do want everybody to know we are a football school.
Yeah.
And the players, they just rolled their eyes, and Pettiford didn't know what to make of it. The older guys were like, yeah, we know this joke. But I almost wonder, knowing Bruce, with his motivational techniques, if he's telling those guys, it's going to be up to you to change that. If you win a national championship, they'll call it. But just knowing him when he said, we are a football school, I literally laughed out loud because he used to play that game at Tennessee too. And he knows how to have fun with his kids.
Mike, what's crazy about it, I texted Pat, I don't know why it just dawned on me, but Bruce Pearl has taken Auburn to 2 Final Fours since Auburn's last 10-win football season.
Isn't that crazy, Mike? That's a stat right there.
Heck, their last 9-win season was in 2019.
Jeepers.
Well, he's not going to say that because he's a football fan. I mean, I think what makes Bruce so personable and lovable to fans is that he's a fan. I'll never forget one year at Tennessee, he scheduled Louisiana. I think it was Louisiana Lafayette, the Raging Cajuns, right? And I go to him. I'm like, and to play there. I go, so why are you playing? It's like you're recruiting. He's like, no. They got a really cool arena. Have you seen it on TV? I want to go play in that arena. Wait a minute. You want to go play there just to play? And he goes, yeah, it's the Cajun Dome. You'll love it. It looks really cool on TV. He's a fan of the game, and he loves it, and he has true zest for it. So, some people that see him on TV, they're like, oh, yeah, this guy's, he's just, this is just a big – no, this is what he is like all the time. Did I tell you about the recruiting infraction that he spoke to the Knoxville News Sentinel, and there's all these administrative people in there, and he's, giving this beyond Bruce Pearl, Tennessee coach. He goes, hey, he goes, I am at a newspaper. He goes, I need to give you guys a scoop. He said, I've committed a recruiting violation. And the room got real quiet. He goes, I slept with one of the recruits' mothers. And everybody got real stolen. He goes, it's my son, Steven.
It's Steven Pearl, yeah.
It took a minute, some people still weren't laughing, right? But that's Bruce, right? And that's another thing, let me tell you. Steven Pearl, grown man. I saw this guy in high school and as a freshman, and every now and then him and Bruce might argue a little bit during practice, and this guy's ready to be a head coach. This guy commands respect. This guy knows the game, and I'm so impressed with Steven Pearl and the way he interacts with the team. So there's a lot of great things going on there right now, guys.
I've been saving this for this moment, and I haven't mentioned it all season, but going back to Maui, when Auburn went to Maui and won, they're doing the about to do the post-game stand-up with Pearl on ESPN. And before they get him mic'd up and they do the post-game stand-up, you see he and his son, Steven Pearl, celebrating, embracing, having a father-son moment. And Bruce Pearl looks at Steven. You can't hear it, but if you read lips, he said, we're back, boy. We're back. Something to that. And it's crazy how he knew at that point that this team had the potential that they did, and then you saw it play out during the regular season and now in the postseason. Oh,
yeah. Well, and I love that Bruce has found a place that is standing behind him and embracing him and loving him. I mean, Bruce is the future Alabama Sports Hall of Famer. There's no doubt. He should be a college basketball Hall of Famer. Like I told you, a lot of those blue bloods, their teeth are gritted. They were trying to bury this guy. These people were not in Bruce Pearl's corner. that are kissing his ass right now. And he won't say, again, I know he won't say that. He hasn't told me that, but he's got a memory just like I do. And I had a front row seat for all that. And he handled it all with class. He took every punch, every hit. He was accountable for everything. And even now, he's staying humble. He paid quite respect for Tom Izzo when he was saying, hey, we're an underdog. We're getting ready to play a legend. That was the right thing to say. That was the right respect to pay Izzo. Izzo did an amazing job with this Michigan State team. They didn't have Elite Eight talent. They were incredibly well coached, but they didn't have Elite Eight talent. But the way Bruce talks to the other coaches and the respect that he pays the other players, if every coach did it like Bruce Pearl, every sport would be better from a marketing standpoint. When he sits up there and does his interviews and talks about the league and talks about the direction of the sport and why the portal, he's an unbelievable ambassador. And I couldn't be happier for Bruce and to see what's happened at Auburn. I'll be honest, when he went down there, having covered Auburn basketball in the 90s, I said, this job's going to kill him. There's just no way. I know how much he puts into it. He's going to do everything he can, but he is not going to be able to lift that program. They just don't care enough. And I am eating my words because Auburn has embraced him. They took over State Farm Arena. It was unbelievable. Absolutely. And I texted Bruce this after the game. I said, your fans absolutely had everything to do with that because those Michigan guys were literally, I watched, they were literally pulling their hair out. And when I say literally pulling their hair out, they literally reached up and were pulling at the sides of their heads at the stupid mistakes they were making when Auburn went on that run and that Auburn crowd just took over and you couldn't hear yourself thinking there. I'm just like, I can't believe this. I was there at Beard Eves Memorial Coliseum with like 2,500 people at games, and now they're taking over Atlanta like Kentucky used to. It was an incredible setting, and I'm so thankful and blessed that I got to be there and have a front row seat and walk out with Bruce when he had the net around his neck and as he's walking on to the Final Four.
Pat asked the question, but before we let you go, Pat asked the question yesterday, and I thought it was a great question, but for the other 14 SEC member institutions, you got Florida and Auburn in the Final Four. How many will be pulling for Auburn? How many do you think Florida?
Oh, boy, that's a tough one. I'm not real sure. I guess it depends on which team they're recruiting against for players.
That's true.
Golden's a young guy, and he's a former pro guy. Bruce gave him his start. That's kind of an amazing storyline, isn't it? That he hired Golden at Auburn and, recognized the talent. That kind of, if anybody kind of understands Bruce Pearl and the magic and kind of knows what you got to do to beat him, it's Golden. There was only really one other coach that I've run across that really understood how to beat Bruce Pearl, and that was a guy by the name of Greg Campy. And I actually kind of snuck into his walkthrough. I just kind of stayed there, and, he's like, oh, yeah, you're the guy for the local paper. He goes, well, let me tell you what we're going to work on. We're going to work on our undercourt inbounds. We're going to work on the side courts because Bruce usually steals about 8 to 10 points on this a game. And then we don't typically run full court, but we're going to run full court because Bruce is going to try and trap us, and he's going to try to force tempo and force us into some bad 3-on-2s where we think we have the advantage, but we really don't. Like, he literally went down the list of Bruce Pearl's secrets. And now Bruce is scouted well enough now, that people know this. But remember, when he came in the league, and for all this talk about Billy Donovan, and Bruce would do a lot, oh, Billy Donovan, he's the greatest coach ever. And I'd walk out of there and I'd be like, you beat him 3 out of 4 so far, right? Like, those back-to-back Florida national championship teams, Bruce beat him 3 out of 4. Like, Billy Donovan never really figured it out. It was like, no, Billy, you cannot play up-tempo. You have to go half court. If you go up tempo, Bruce is going to, but the ego was such. Go back and look at Bruce's record against the quote unquote great Billy Donovan at Florida. We called him Big Game Bruce at Tennessee because his record against like top 5 teams was like 500. And I don't think he lost to a top 25 team at home at Tennessee in those 6 years until maybe the last game when he had one guy his big was suspended. So, the guy's the master of the big game, but, Golden is kind of his Frankenstein in a way. He kind of helped create this guy. So that gives Florida a little bit more of an edge than anybody else would have.
He's Mike Griffith, the AJC, and also DogNation.com. Does a wonderful job covering the Southeastern Conference. Mike, we always appreciate the time, my friend. Thank you, and hopefully we're talking about an SEC National Championship. Well, I guess it would be, the following week because you'll be on with us next Monday.
No. Yeah, I'm all in. Let's do it.
We'll see you at the
Just
beach.
means more.
Yep.
All right,
We'll see you
guys.
at the Gulf
Have a
of
good one.
America. Thanks, Mike. Mike joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. All of our guests join us there. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services.
Brand new menu today makes its debut here at Social Taco. Come on by and see us. Doors open up at 11. This is Three-Man Front on Jocks 94.5. It's 1028, Jocks 94.5. We are live at Social Taco. The doors will open up at 11 o'clock. Come on by and sample the brand new menu here at Social Taco. All your favorites, they haven't gone anywhere, but, man, they have just added so many other items to this long list of menu that we will get to in just a few moments.
Well, spring weather in Alabama can be really unpredictable, so that's why you need the reliability of a Trane, voted America's most trusted HVAC brand. And right now, you can receive up to a 10-year warranty on parts and labor on select Trane home comfort systems. So to find out more, visit Trane.com.
All right, thanks, Molly. In regards to what we just heard from Mike Griffith, a very interesting take on his relationship with Bruce Pearl. He covered Bruce up in Knoxville. He was very close to that whole situation, and it just shows you what a farce the NCAA has been for a very, very long time. And for Tennessee to get dinged like they did, for him to get his show calls for what happened in Knoxville, and for him to be out of the business for a couple years, it's a complete joke. So at least that part of the NCAA, I'm glad that has ended.
Well, as far as his personality and what he sells and how he comes off and people's perception of him, there are some people that think, oh, well, he's like some of the other coaches that we have seen, not only in college basketball but across the scape, where you know on a personal level, or people who deal with them every single day and cover their programs, that they're full of crap, essentially. Yeah. They're full of crap. They get up there and they say all the right things, and then behind the scenes they're not what they appear to be. That is not Bruce Pearl. Anybody who talks to him, you just talk to a guy who no longer covers his program, who has covered him at multiple stops and knows the real Bruce Pearl. And if you see Bruce Pearl and some of the things that he talks about and how he gets emotional about certain things, whether it's his faith, whether it's what's going on there in Israel, or if he's talking about cancer or helping people, he is authentic. And if you can't recognize that, then I guess that's your problem. It's not Bruce Pearl's problem.
That's correct. When we come back on Three-Man Front, we'll open up the phone lines at 1-800-239-WJOX. The courtesy GMC text line is open as well at 205-834-9450. We're live at Social Taco on this beautiful Tuesday. This is Jox 94.5. We're back at Social Taco. Come on by and see us. The doors open up at 11 o'clock. Always a great time here on the Taco Terrace. Myself and Landrum here today. Molly back high atop Red Mountain, making sure we are good to go today. Conrad will be back with us tomorrow. Matter of fact, Conrad and I, we will be live at Regions Field tomorrow as the Birmingham Barons. It will be their media day tomorrow, so we will be live from Regions Field. Landrum, meanwhile, he will get in the stagecoach and he will head west as you will head to San Antonio de Bejar.
De Bejar.
Bexar County.
How long do you think it'll take me out there, horse and buggy? Amtrak, Greyhound.
Maybe by the time football season kicks off.
Hopefully have you talked to a lot of people that are heading out to San Antonio, or are people still on the fence? We were talking to a couple of people here, and I talked to some people that said, well, if they make the championship game, I'm going to try to get out there, but some people not going to make the semifinals. How many people have you spoken with that are planning to make the trip?
A good number. They're taking advantage of this opportunity to be a part of the Final Four.
And a lot of tickets being sold. San Antonio's got to love this. NCAA's got to love this.
I think more people are excited about going to a warmer climate than they were going to Minneapolis, St. Paul.
I can attest to that because I was in Minneapolis, and it was nice, and there were things to do, but it was cold, and you had to pack a lot of stuff. I'm taking a carry-on and warm clothes because the 3 days that we're there, I guess 3 days, 4 days, it's going to be 90+.
Yeah.
But it's a dry heat, right?
It is a dry heat.
It's not feels like 113.
Well, 113 is 113.
Well,
but,
yes.
But, yeah, you've got a little
don't have
while
all the
before.
humidity.
No. When I played baseball there, it was.
Are the mosquitoes bad there on the river?
No.
Yeah.
Like I said, when you see, I'm using air quotes now for YouTube, the river.
Well, I've seen the river.
Okay.
Yeah, I was there.
It's more like a creek.
Well, it is.
It's like a wide creek.
It's actually like something that would run through a hotel.
Yes. But it's quaint. It's the way they've built it up. It's, yeah, so it's not like when you think of river, you think
it's
of,
like you would see at the Venetian.
Yeah.
Isn't that the one that has like you're going through wherever? How about our friends at Stark Exterminators? It is April officially, and April showers, they bring May flowers, but also they bring mosquitoes. You got to be proactive. Don't fight the bite. Get Stark's mosquito control service and take your yard back this spring. Stark Exterminators uses the most effective and environmentally friendly solutions available. 100% of your satisfaction is guaranteed as a customer, and Stark has been family owned for over 61 years. It might not mean that much to you, but it does for somebody like me. I appreciate a family-owned business and people that you can actually talk to and you can trust. Stark Exterminators is that company. Call today for your free home or business pest inspection. One of their friendly team members will come out to your home or your place of business like they did at the Roberts house so many years ago. Inspect it thoroughly inside and out and come up with a customized design plan just for you. Call today for the free home or business pest inspection, 855-STARK now, or go to starkexterminators.com. And as always, tell them Landrum from Jocks 94.5 sent you.
So bad news last night for you, partner, as the Dodgers beat the Braves 6-1. Michael Harris, the second, ended the Braves' 29-inning scoreless streak with a leadoff homer in the eighth inning. But Grant Holmes, 4 innings pitched, 4 hits, 4 runs, 4 base on balls, 3 Ks, 1 home run.
Solid.
He threw 89 pitches, only 53 strikes. I hate to give you this next stat. I'm just telling you from a historical standpoint.
No, I go ahead. I know.
No Braves team in the history of the franchise, Boston, Milwaukee, or Atlanta, has ever made a postseason after going 0-5 to start the season.
I believe it. And with Profar, that everything came out with him.
Lopez
going on the IL. The question mark surrounding Strider, well, I guess there's not really a whole lot of question marks about Acuna. They're waiting for him to come back, but they're not hitting the baseball. Bottom line. They've been awful at hitting the ball. And you couple that with playing tough competition, I know, but I think that there are more maybe growing
underlying issues.
I think maybe some underlying issues, and I don't know. They got a new hitting coach, and they needed a new hitting coach, and I can't put it all on the coach. You got guys that are out there that are professionals, but I don't like what I'm seeing here early. I'm not saying the season's over, but this is not just a brush it off.
Slow start.
No, man. They're not. There's not a whole lot to like right now, Pat.
Well, Chris Sale, he is going to be on the bump tonight. He is going up against Dustin May for the Dodgers. Chris Sale, his first start, he's only got one start. He's got an ERA of 5.40. He looked hittable, which is understandable. I mean, he had an incredible year last year winning the Cy Young Award, and, you know, it happens. These things go in cycles, but not a good start for the Braves. 0-5. They have never made a postseason after that type of start. So I know yesterday everyone was wanting to quote the stats of going to the World Series after starting 0-4.
Well, that was fun when they were 0-4.
Yeah, but when you're 0-5 now, and, you know. And also keep in mind that when you look at that stat, that is based on a lot of years in which there were only two teams in the National League that made the playoffs. The National League East and the National League West winner. And even going back further than that, before they split into divisions, you had a National League champion. You did not have a National League Championship Series. So, with that being said, I'm giving you hope. That's what I'm giving you.
I'm going back to, I think I saw a stat where it was it 2016 when Freddie Gonzalez in that Braves team, they started like 9-28, something like that, and then he was replaced. I think it was. But, yeah, historically bad start and not good.
Yeah, so you mentioned Profar. He has been suspended for 80 games without pay.
I thought we allowed PEDs.
For performance-enhancing drug use. Major League Baseball announced that Profar tested positive for HCG, which is a hormone that helps in the production of testosterone. The suspension of Profar is effective immediately. Profar would be eligible to return on June 29th against Philadelphia. He is going to lose $5.8 million. $5.8 million of his $12 million salary with the Braves. He is also ineligible for the postseason. Did not realize that until I was reading this release.
I did not realize that until you just read it.
Profar called it the most difficult day of my baseball career.
Bad advice? Somebody told him, hey, this is okay?
He said that he would never knowingly cheat.
Everything I've heard about Profar, I know the San Diego fans, they gave him a 5-minute ovation when he came back on opening day and he led off of the Braves. I'll take him for his word.
You also mentioned Lopez has gone on the IL with right shoulder inflammation. He was one of the Braves' top pitchers in 2024. He had a 1.99 ERA last year in 135 2/3 innings across 26 games.
Well, coming into the season, I assumed that Lopez, because he was a bullpen guy, and then they made him one of their not everyday starters, but one of their top guys in the rotation last year. And then towards the end of the year, he had one little brush up with an injury, and then a more lengthy absence there towards the end of the season. But I did not count on Ronaldo Lopez being healthy for the entire campaign.
Let's go to the phones. A lot of people want to talk about the Braves. 1-800-239-WJOX. Let's go to Hoover. Our good friend Dave joins us here on Three Man Front. Good morning, Dave.
Yeah, Landon, when you look at the fact that Chipper stepped away because the players just don't, you got first and especially early in the game. You got second, third, less than 2 outs. You want to make a productive out. You want to make sure you get the ball to the right side. Early in the game, they're going to take the out at first and give you the run. And the players won't do that. Snitker won't bunt. He won't go. You got first and second, nobody out. Bobby Cox didn't do it either. They won't bunt them over to stay out of the double play. That's baseball 101. And so what happens is, during the regular season, you got teams that come in. You may not face their number 1 or 2 pitcher, just depending on where the rotation falls. But you better believe you're going to face them in a 5-game series. You're going to face a one guy twice. So they're set up for regular season and not postseason. Until they start keeping the front side closed, taking the ball to right field, giving themselves up, getting a run in, and manufacturing runs, it's going to be the same song and dance. Why do you think Bobby Cox got fired from Toronto? Toronto didn't win the World Series until he went to Atlanta and Cito Gaston beat him. Cito Gaston beat the Braves in the World Series with Bobby Cox's talent. I don't know, man. It's just the same song and dance. I've been going down there since I was 5 years old when they came in town in '66. I was at the inaugural game. I was there in '69, the year the Amazing Mets had season tickets for 25 years. I'm done with them. I haven't watched a game yet this year. Totally frustrating.
So, hey, Dave, let me ask you this because you're a baseball guy. Do you see this? Because I personally see this as a problem across all Major League Baseball. I don't see – I watch my Cardinals, and I see the same stuff that you see. It's just today's ball player. It's a lot different.
It is. Everybody's in love with the long ball.
Yeah.
You know, gaps, doubles, home runs, that type of thing. Nobody wants to play small, move guys around, but you got to do it in the postseason because if you think you're going to get back-to-back doubles, a walk, and a home run against elite pitching in the playoffs, it ain't going to happen. So
No, and that's my frustration, Dave.
Runs.
Is we see Snitker, you know, he'll bring somebody in or he'll have somebody bunt in the postseason, and then they're up there like they've never bunted before because they haven't bunted all season long.
Yes,
That's true.
That's
It's
right.
so frustrating.
They don't work on it. They don't practice. It's, you know, so I remember Wally Joyner when he came over from the Angels years ago. He's a Redan High School guy in Atlanta, and the Braves are in the World Series, man. And Bobby Koch has got him up there, and he's just throwing the bat and stabbing at the ball, trying to get the ball on the ground. Well, you know what? Braves got one sacrifice the entire year, and that was John Smoltz. Well, what do you expect? You know?
That's
The other thing
amazing.
that gets me, I don't know what you think about it, is catchers with a knee on the ground. I'm doing baseball lessons, and these kids get in there, and these kids are 8 years old and got their knee on the ground. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, I know.
I know.
Maybe they'll
That's
turn
crazy.
around. We'll see.
Hey,
All right,
thank
bud.
you, Dave.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks for the call. 1-800-239-WJOX. We'll talk to Richard Hendricks coming up at the top of the hour. SEC Network, former Alabama great. Get his thoughts on the Final Four coming up in San Antonio. This is Three Man Front live from Social Taco. It is 10:50. Jocks 94.5. Richard Hendricks will join us at the top of the hour. Former Alabama basketball great, now a current member of the SEC Network team. Will get his thoughts on the Final Four. You know, water can find its way into a crawl space, bringing dangerous mold, mildew, and wood rot into your house. But APS can help you today. It can protect your home's foundation, provide valuable storage space too. The APS crawl space encapsulation system, it can stop that water, keep the pests out while lowering your energy costs today. The engineers at APS, they're going to design a custom solution for your home. Crawl space problems don't get better over time. They get better when you call APS at 205-951-9717. That's alabamaprofessional.com online. That is APS.
We continue live from Social Taco here in Homewood. The doors are opening 9 minutes from right now. Come and enjoy some of the great menu items that they're debuting today. We'll start with the appetizers, the quesadilla nachos. You got the smoked wings and the chili relleno spring rolls. Ooh, the buffalo chicken Mexican pizza has also been added. It's delicious. Taylor let me try it just a couple of weeks ago. And then also some new street tacos to remind you about as well. We'll tell you more about our friends at Social Taco, but it's the warm weather season, and that is the time to be on the patio here to see all the beautiful people.
Back to the phones we go for the top of the hour. Let's talk to Robert in Greenville. Let's talk a little bit about the Braves.
Good morning, gentlemen. How y'all doing today?
Hey, Robert, how are you?
Yeah, listen, I think that the first of all, the ProFAR has to know the rules regarding the drug policy in Major League Baseball. He has to know what he's putting in his body to avoid this suspension. Having said all that, don't you think 80 games is a little bit harsh?
Whether we think it's harsh or not, the players signed off on it on the collective bargaining agreement with Major League Baseball. So,
right.
I mean, you should know the rules.
Yes, sir, I agree. But I think the front office has really let the fans down this winter with this penny. They want to stay competitive, and yet they want to do it. Get these bargain basement free agents like Profar and like Oscar De La Cruz, and I know that Olson's is going to start hitting. I know Albies is going to start hitting. I know Riley is going to start hitting. They're 1 for 28 with runners in scoring position. Not only that, these are two tough pitching staffs and two tough parks to hit in. You cannot live and die by the 3-run homer when you're playing on the West Coast. And the other thing is, I think the starting pitching will get stabilized, but this bullpen is going to have to be addressed along with the outfield. I know Acuna will be back, but it seems like their options are very limited. I'm not ready for to blow this roster up yet. I am not. But, you know, you don't want to start 0-5. But remember, a lot of those years we had just 4 teams in the playoffs, 2 in each league. Since I came into the world until 1995. And I'm just hoping Braves fans that don't give up on the season. But then again, this organization has got to get things fixed and stop worrying about making money and start worrying about World Series. Look what Philadelphia, look what the Mets, look what the Dodgers have done. They absolutely break the bank to win. And I just don't think that we're getting it from Atlanta's front office. Media Liberty has done a poor job putting this roster together. It just seems like the Braves need to get the outfield fixed. They need to get the relief pitching fixed, and these other guys will hit. I know it's tough for us 5 games through the season, but we've got to understand it is a long season, and that the schedule will get easier after they get off this West Coast swing.
Yeah,
but it's
well. Robert, thank you for the phone call. We always appreciate it. The problem, though, is, well, not only have you started the season 0-5, but a guy that was going to be an answer that you were excited about, getting him from San Diego, and that being one of those stable pieces, and then he goes down for a PED violation. Then Lopez and some of the other question marks you have surrounding the pitching staff, but the lack of production at the plate, it's just not a whole lot to cheer about right now. But you get 2 more games, Chavez Ravine, you take on the Dodgers. Let's just say you go 0-7, but you come back home, you start playing some teams from within your division. Maybe the schedule lightens up a little bit. But as I look around the standings, you got the Brewers who are winless. And you also have the Minnesota Twins who are winless. Who the Twins, by some people's account, that was going to be a team that was going to vie at least for a wild card spot. I know I got to keep telling myself marathon, not a sprint, but could not have started any worse, minus having a big time injury.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here looking at their offensive stats. They've had 153 at bats so far this season. They've only gotten 22 hits out of 153 at bats. That's a 144 batting average, which is the only team in Major League Baseball that is worse than the Braves or the Twins, and they're at 143. Now, the next team above Atlanta is Houston. They're hitting 13 points better at 157. So, I mean, you've got a lot of teams. Then, obviously, it's the first week of the season that you've got, I think there's 9 teams that's batting below 200, below the Mendoza line, first week. So, I mean, there's a lot of time. But, you start getting behind that 8 ball, and then already you've had one of your players that you did go out and spend $12 million on.
Yeah, Profar was going to be.
And he's not going to be available to play for 80 games. And then he's not going to be eligible if you make it to the postseason. And then one of your starting pitchers is out.
Yeah, Brian De La Cruz and Jared Kelenic, I don't think they're the answers out there in the outfield.
So, but.
Come back, Ronnie, hurry.
Good news is that you've got 157 games left. Or 156.
Who's counting? Richard Hendricks in the next hour breaking down the Final Four. Can Auburn get it done versus the Gators in Part 2? Richard joins us next live from Social Taco here in Homewood. The doors are opening. Come and join us here on this Taco Tuesday, 3-man front on Jocks. Welcome back in. The doors have opened. We got Don Dime. We got Cedric. who's joining us. I know PG is supposedly going to be wearing something interesting today. I think
Really?
it's going to probably reflect his Florida fandom with Florida and Auburn matching up in the Final Four in San Antonio on Saturday. We are going to be talking with Richard Hendricks as well, but you can get in Social Taco. It's a beautiful day outside. 76 is the high. We're going to have sun. So if you can't get in before we go off the air at 2 o'clock here in the Taco Terrace, come by for the half-off happy hour. And, Pat, we were looking at some of the specials they have at happy hour. You get Mexican pizzas for $8.
Mm-hmm.
Chicken feathers, that's your go-to.
$6.
$6.
Yeah.
Are you kidding? The dirty, crunchy taco. That sounds like something that our own Conrad Van Order would appreciate.
He would love that.
Anything that starts with dirty, he's all about it. Also, the Buffalo Gringo Taco, all kinds of specials. And don't forget about brunch this weekend if you're going to be tuning up for the Final Four. Saturday, 10 to 2:30, the Bottomless Tapas Brunch. And then on Sunday, as you're celebrating an Auburn win, you can enjoy another Bottomless Tapas Brunch from 10 to 2:30. SocialTaco.bar for more information.
Joining us now on the Higginbotham Hotline, Alabama basketball great. He is currently now with the SEC Network, calling games all throughout the basketball season. Richard Hendricks joins us now on Three-Man Front. Richard, I hope you're doing well. How is your bracket that you filled out? Did you have two SEC teams? I'm not going to ask you which two you had, but did you have two of the four coming from the wonderful conference of the Southeast?
Yeah, I'm doing well. And yeah, I did have two SEC teams in the Final Four. So I guess I'm 50% correct on what I thought my Final Four predictions would be. Yeah, it was a really good tournament. Been enjoying it so far. Should be an outstanding Final Four.
What did you see from Auburn, especially this past weekend with a Sweet 16 matchup against Michigan, and then when we got on Sunday versus Michigan State? What did you see about Auburn that encourages you as they head to San Antonio?
Well, I saw some resiliency. I mean, obviously this is a team that wasn't playing really good basketball going into the NCAA tournament, but they've been able to figure some things out against some tough teams to make it to the Final Four. But it's not going to get any easier for Auburn. I think they're going to have an opportunity to play Florida and see if they can get the revenge that Florida got them in the jungle earlier this year. And I think the matchup between Bruce Pearl and his former pupil, Todd Golden, will be significant in this one. But Auburn's going to have to definitely have a big performance from Janai Broome. He stepped up big in the last game, bounced back from the injury, came in the game, and gave them the emotional lift they needed down the stretch. But he's going to have to be the SEC Player of the Year and potential the National Player of the Year to really get it done in the last two games. Because when you look at the challenge they've had all season long, playing these tough teams, they have to make sure they have enough gas in the tank to finish it out. And it's going to be a big task to do so.
All right, so let's talk about the Florida Gators, because Walter Clayton Jr., first meeting, he only had 19 points, 9 assists against Auburn at Neville Arena, but he was coming off that ankle injury. I think he had set out the game before against Vanderbilt, and he came back against Auburn. And Florida just took it to the Tigers. I mean, at one point they were up by 21 points. I know the final score was not indicative of the way Florida pretty much dominated that game. But, Richard, is it just me, but when I've watched Florida in the tournament, it doesn't appear that we've gotten the Florida that we saw the second half of the SEC schedule. Is that just my eyes kind of deceiving me? Now, Clayton's playing through the roof, but it just seems like they're not hitting on all cylinders. Do you sense that with the Gators right now?
Well, it's the NCAA tournament, and every team is good. They're playing good basketball, and they're confident. And when you have the bullseye on your back of this favorite that everyone's picking to win the national championship, they've dominated the last few games in the SEC and in the SEC tournament. If I'm all of the teams that Florida has played in the tournament, Connecticut, the two-time defending national champion, Texas Tech, who's been a high-level program in recent years, then you know that you're going to be giving Florida their best punch. Now, Florida has been able to weather the storm. Walter Clayton Jr. has done a great job of pulling them out of tough situations down the stretch. But this is a loaded team, and they have really good talent and good depth at all positions. But as I mentioned, it's not so much about them and expecting them to dominate. They're playing against really good teams and veteran teams in the NCAA tournament. They're making you have to earn those wins, and they're going to have to earn another one against another veteran team in Auburn in the Final Four.
These two coaches and Todd Golden and the relationship with Bruce Pearl and Pearl hiring him there at Auburn to be his director of basketball ops when he got on the Plains. They know each other very well. Florida dominated that game for the most part. Going back to that game at Neville Arena, Richard, if you remember, it was 35 minutes I would say after Auburn got off to a quick start. The Florida just dominated. They knocked down a bunch of shots, 13 threes from the outside. It seemed at times they could not miss. How do you think Bruce Pearl, from a schematic standpoint, from a just overall game plan, how do you think he attacks this Florida team given what he saw in the first matchup?
Well, both of them are built similar. So they do have the personnel to play this game straight up. I don't see anything that has to be of a gimmick for Auburn to beat Florida. They have the ability to do so. I do think that the guards on Auburn are going to have to step up big on the defensive end against the pick and rolls that they will utilize between Clayton and Condon, as well as Chinyelu and what he's able to do. They'll have to be able to be aggressive against that aspect and not allow Clayton to just play with so much freedom, because when he can play free and dictate the tone of the game, then he's a load to stop. Auburn has great positional size. They have good defenders in length at all positions that they can contain their men at all levels, but they're going to have to really step up their level of play because Florida plays so well connected. They do a really good job of moving the ball from side to side. They read the game well to find a quality shot, and they play with really good effort, particularly when you talk about offensive rebounding under the goal. But this is a game that I think that obviously the guards on the defensive end are going to have to do it, but you're going to have to control the tempo of the game with Janai Broome, and he has to be really effective on the interior, setting the tone.
Richard Hendricks joins us from the SEC Network here on Three Man Front. I wanted to ask you about Alabama's performance. We were talking about on this show for months that we believed, based on this talent level of Alabama, based on what they could do, that we saw them as at least an Elite Eight team. And depending on who they ended up playing in the Elite Eight, it should be a nice run back to the Final Four. Just your thoughts about their play against Duke, and really, I know we all watched it. We all saw what happened in regards to that. But what did Duke do to really put Alabama out of their game?
Well, Duke is really good. They're playing good basketball. But what Duke has is they are really good as far as their positional size is concerned. And when you have that, personnel and size is just something that's going to give you an advantage in any game that you have. You have bigger, longer, stronger players that can stay in front of their man. It makes it very difficult for Alabama to shoot threes from the perimeter and even to get to the basket with layups. I mean, Malawach, he blocked a few shots, but he changed even more. Cooper Flagg rotating over from the weak side. It makes it very, very difficult. Duke has 6'5", 6'6" guards, and they did a really good job of making it difficult for Alabama to pinpoint those threes like they did in the Sweet 16 game against BYU. But it's on the offensive end that I was very impressed with the Blue Devils. The way that they played with so much synergy, reading the defense. Now, Alabama dropped in a lot of drop coverage where the big was kind of protecting the goal, and they did a lot of off-ball switching that created a lot of miscommunications for Alabama, and Duke was able to capitalize on that by throwing backdoor passes on those switches for layups and also driving to the basket and reading the defense with the big backpedaling, finishing against them at the rim or throwing the alley-oop over top. So it's their recognition of how to play the game in multiple ways and all five players reading it. That's what makes it so impressive to me. John Shire has done a tremendous job following a role that seems to be impossible, replacing Coach K, and he has his team poised to try to win it all.
Richard Hendricks of the SEC Network breaking down the Final Four for us here on Three Man Front. All of our guests join us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Their opponent, the Houston Cougars, really nobody's talking a whole lot about Houston, but I thought, Richard, I don't know what your opinion was, but Tennessee, the way that they played in the first three rounds of the NCAA tournament, and even going back to Nashville with the SEC tourney, I thought that they were playing some of the best basketball of anybody in the country. And then Sunday came, and watching that game, I know Houston, what they do defensively, they certainly have more offense to complement it this season. But Tennessee just looked bad. This Houston team, what kind of problems they potentially present to Duke in maybe dethroning the Blue Devils?
Well, the same thing. Listen, first and foremost, you have all number one seeds in this Final Four.
Sure.
So there are no upsets when you get to this point. I mean, everyone looks at how teams are playing, and if you look at rosters and potential NBA picks and National Player of the Years, you're going to look at Houston, you're going to say, this is a team of guys that we don't know. If you ask the common person who's even been watching college basketball, who is Houston's best player? Who are their second best player? They're not going to be able to tell you. But I'm going to tell you, they got some dogs on that team. And they play hard. They are tough. And they might not have the positional size as other teams, but the mentality in which they play for is bigger than maybe what they have. Kelvin Sampson is an old-school hard-nosed coach. He gets his team to buy in. They play together. This is a team that what they came out and did against Tennessee, holding them to 28% shooting from the field. It showed when they're able to flex their muscle defensively what they're able to do. And they will give Duke some challenges in that area with this veteran team and with their tough-minded mentality, and I'm sure they'll be prepared. But Tennessee, as you mentioned, played good ball all season long. We did know that they struggled offensively, not having that bona fide guy who can get you a bucket in all three levels like a Dalton Connect. And they've struggled with that all season long, but it showed up when they didn't need it to happen to get to their first ever Final Four. But listen, what that shows you for Tennessee and for Alabama, how important the regular season is, because seeding is so important when you get to the NCAA tournament. And to have that number one overall seed gives you a much better chance of moving forward, of playing teams that you match up well against, and you don't have to have these teams until you get into the national semifinal. You got to get your work done in the season, or if you're Tennessee, you run into a Houston this year that stops you prior to your goal, or last year when you run into Purdue and it stops you prior to making to your Final Four. You got to get it done in the regular season.
All right, Richard, you've broken it down incredibly well for us, as you always do. So when it's all said and done, Monday night around midnight, who is cutting the nets down?
My pick is going to be Duke. And, you know, I love the SEC, and I think that the SEC has had a fabulous year. But I look at the semifinal and the fact that Auburn has to play Florida, and that's going to be a tough game. And for both of those teams, the grind that they have been through the entire year, when you get down to the end of the season, oftentimes you can play off of emotion. You can be excited about a championship game, but your bodies are banged up. There's a fatigue from the season. We've seen it a little bit. It looks like a little bit with Auburn, that they're just trying to continue to keep battling. But I think Duke, in the rhythm that they have, the way that they looked against Alabama, who was also a national championship good team if they had the matchup. I mean, I just think they look like they are the most complete team. They have probably the best player and definitely the best prospect in Cooper Flagg. So it's going to be, I think Duke is going to be the one to get it done.
That is Richard Hendricks, joined us throughout the periodically during the college basketball season. Richard, as always, we appreciate your time and your insight. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Enjoyed it.
Thank you. That is Richard Hendricks. He joined us on the Higginbotham Hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services.
Dobbs, Ford, Birmingham, the Goshen family, and the wonderful staff there at Dobbs on Parkway East, they can get it done for you. I do know some people that are actually driving to San Antonio. Why not do it on a new Dobbs Ford or one of the pre-owned Dobbs Ford that they're offering? They got all kinds of great pre-owned inventory right now, from 2022 Ford Mustangs, 2023 Ford Bronco Sports. How about a Ford Edge, Explorers? Also, brand new inventory. It's Alabama's largest showroom selection, from the F-150s, the Explorers, the Bronco Sports, and how about those Mustangs, just in time for summer. Dobbs Ford, they'll beat any competitor's price, top dollar for your trade, the no hassle, but just the great people you deal with. DobbsFordBirmingham.com. DobbsFordBirmingham.com. And make sure after you peruse the inventory, you get there to Parkway East and you see Joey, Rachel, or any of the other great staff members there at Dobbs Ford. You tell them Landrum from Three Man Front sent you.
Great breakdown by Richard Hendricks. If you missed that interview, you can always download the Three Man Front podcast and listen to that. Mike Griffith joined us in hour number 1. In the 1 o'clock hour, we're going to talk to our good friend David Waters from the Gators Breakdown podcast. We'll get his thoughts on the Florida Gators, their run to the Final Four, and their opposition, the Auburn Tigers. All straight ahead on this very busy Three-Man Front live from Social Taco.
Welcome back in. It's a festive Tuesday. Got more people dropping by. Troy, one of our great Jocks listeners.
Yes. Known Troy a long time. He's a good, loyal Jocks listener.
He's awesome. BB, the First Lady, is now here. You can join us. We're in the Taco Terrace, and one of our other great listeners who's joining us, it is Keller Doggett, and he has been a part of the lunch crew since at least this time last year when he was coming back from the Final Four there in Houston. And Keller, you joining us now. Thanks for listening, number one.
Yeah, no, I love being part of this. It was actually my birthday last year when I met y'all, so it was like my little treat was to come up here and listen
When's
to the show.
your birthday?
So I don't want to say because they might throw me a party up here.
You'll get a blow up doll.
Yeah.
What's the?
Oh, God. As long as I don't get blown up.
We haven't missed your birthday though, is what I'm asking.
No.
Okay.
No,
Just making
not
sure.
yet.
Well, it's interesting. We appreciate you listening and being a part of what we do every Tuesday here at Social Taco. But your main job in life, you've got a we're kind of jealous.
It's a cool job.
Yeah.
We think it's really cool. So tell our audience what you do, especially this time of the year.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is kind of a lot of my friends don't even know exactly what I do. Like Don thinks I'm in TV for some reason, but basically it's sports construction. So take the Final Four, for instance. Every year the Final Four is built inside of a football stadium. It's a basketball court inside of a football stadium. So what we do for sight lines and for seating, ticketing, if you were to watch a basketball game in the front row of a football stadium, you'd be 100-plus feet away from the court, and the people on the lower side wouldn't be able to see anything up on the court. So we go and build an elevated court, 3 feet off the ground, and then basically build a temporary lower bowl throughout the whole stadium. So as you can imagine, that's about 20-something thousand seats every year. It varies from stadium to stadium. But this year in San Antonio, I mean, it was a blast building it, and just the city itself was fun to be in. So great stadium to work with.
That was leading into my next question of all of the venues that you've had the luxury of working at, which one, presented the biggest issue for you guys in regards to your build-out of trying to do all the things that you just laid out that needed to happen?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't want to speak, negatively about any one place, but I would say San Antonio, putting all the construction talk aside, was one of the best, smoothest, just a great stadium to work with. Similar to New Orleans in a way, the Superdome.
Yeah.
I'd say the most.
Is it because they're more of a dome? I know it's an NFL type stadium, but obviously it's so cavernous at the Superdome.
It's straighter sidelines, so that means that we're dealing with less angled builds. The parabolic rise there is nice, but the hardest one is Houston, simply because it's a fun
Reliant
fact.
Stadium.
Yes, well, NRG.
Oh
I don't know.
That's the new name.
Yeah.
But that's the hardest one because they always have the rodeo. That's their biggest event in Houston in that stadium is a 30-day rodeo, and they're not going to push that or delay that at all. So we had about a week to build the entire lower bowl of the stadium at Houston. And, I mean, great folks to work with, love them, but some can be a little more hectic than others.
As far as the floor, and this is specific, are you guys taking floor out there? Is floor delivered to Alamo Dome?
Yeah, so basically my company, we're owned, or all of our equipment is owned technically by the NCAA. It's all housed here right off of Findlay Boulevard. And so we have that kit here in Birmingham, and then we take it out on, a high number of semi-trucks to whatever Final Four that year, and we assemble it on site. So it all comes back here to Birmingham and is housed here.
Are these like puzzle pieces, and you're taking soft mallet and?
So basically we build all of the structure, and the only thing we don't touch is the actual hardwood that goes on top of our basically 3-foot high stage.
Okay.
That's a cool company, and it's always fun to see them. When we're done, see them malleting that tongue and groove type flooring together, and that's really what people are there to see anyway, is the pretty floor. So, but no, we do all the nuts and bolts that go under it and around it. So
I don't want to say exactly where these tickets are. Pat has seen the tickets in the vantage point, but would you say for a ticket that would be upper deck, and I guess it all depends,
yeah.
but would you say that the Alamo Dome maybe provides for one of those type tickets, maybe an easier view than some of the other stadiums?
So this would be probably it's a little bit smaller of a stadium, and it's a little more vertical.
I think it seats. I think the max that could get in there is around 67, 68.
Yeah, so
like
we've upped that with our build. It's at about 80,000 capacity.
Whoa!
And
I
that's
know
why we do it, is because of just the sheer number of tickets. It's not necessarily
Keller Doggett, by the way, who is with a company that puts all of this infrastructure together for the Final Four, joining us here on Three Man Front. If you're just joining us.
So it's interesting that you said that, because I saw a projection that the largest crowd ever to attend a Final Four event was in San Antonio, and it was low 60s.
Was that in 2018 or 2008, or do you know what year?
I do not. We can check that. But
I'm not that old, so.
But
I would guess 2008.
I saw where they were thinking that it would be north of 67,000 for this Final Four.
Yeah,
so they believe that they will break the record.
Well, yes, I can't necessarily speak to that. I know, I guess, what we've built, but I'm not involved in the counting of people who come through or how they do that. But
it could seat up to 80 based on your configuration.
Yeah, I believe
of what
so.
you did.
I'd have to get the actual number, but that's a ballpark. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
I mean, and fun fact too. Last time it was in San Antonio, or not the last time, but the last time there were 4 number 1 seeds.
Mm-hmm. 2008.
I think the only time was 2008 in San Antonio, and those games will be played on the same days, April 5th and 7th, as they were in 2008.
Wow.
Ooh. Is there
How about that?
Is there anything else that we can
dropping some knowledge on
we
us?
We can maybe mirror to that 2008? Did a team from Alabama win it that year? I'm kidding.
No, don't think so.
Isn't it pretty incredible, though, that Keller, that you live here and we've had 2 teams from the state two straight years going to a Final Four?
I feel incredibly blessed as a young man growing up in Birmingham to have witnessed not just the football success on both sides of the coin, but to watch basketball grow as it has here has been, I don't know, it's just such a fun thing to witness, and I think we're all incredibly blessed to be here in Birmingham for it, you know.
All right, so you said that you spent a whole week in San Antonio. Is that right?
Yeah, I was just there a couple weeks. Got back a couple days ago to spend some time with the wife, and I'll go back out Thursday for the games. So
you brought a nice gift for Pat last year. It's beautiful, and I look at it every day. Is there a potential that you would have another one of those for
He
anybody?
wasn't the one.
You're going to have to tell me. Yeah, I don't think I've ever given
He wasn't the one, was he?
I did give Don a gift.
No, that's nice.
Yeah, you've got to earn that.
That's the first time he's ever had a I'm guessing a sweater.
I gave him the vest
type.
because I don't wear vests, so it's not that sweet of me. You know?
Well, he's pulling it off. I'm just glad that you helped him get it unzipped where he could put it on.
It was more of a struggle than I thought.
This was like it was for those who didn't witness it. Me and Pat in the middle of talking to Richard Hendricks, we're watching, and it looked like a dad, being Keller, trying to send his son off to meet the school bus.
His first day at school,
trying to get him in that.
Well, that was good stuff.
We've got a lot of people up here trying on a lot of weird clothes. So
anything that you would recommend for our listeners that are heading out to San Antonio, you've been a part, or just heading out to a Final Four, things that they can expect outside of the game itself?
Yeah, I would say walk everywhere, depending on where you're staying. But it's a very walkable area, especially to the stadium.
You're going to feel safe.
Yeah, Riverwalk. I'd never been to San Antonio before this, but the Riverwalk reminded me the most suburban street I've ever seen, and that was very surprising to me. That's not necessarily my scene.
Minus the garbage.
No.
Really?
Yeah.
Come on, let's sell some more tickets, Keller.
I don't. Yeah. No, it's great. It's a pristine utopia. So, but no, the city itself is great. A lot of great nightlife and good Tex-Mex and a lot of beers. So, enjoy those, fans.
Yeah. Drink responsibly.
Yeah.
But Keller, we appreciate you joining us and giving us kind of a sneak peek of what we're going to see.
y'all
What
having me
does the floor look like? Have they released that yet?
It is released, yeah. You can look it up, but I mean I'm wearing the.
It's not crazy.
So it's got
the
San Antonio Final Four logo at midcourt.
It's basically retro Spurs colors this year.
Okay.
And we did an event a couple years ago in the Alamo Dome, hosting the Spurs and the Warriors, and they did kind of a throwback since the Spurs used to play in the Alamo Dome there. But it's kind of similar color scheme, and I think it looks really sharp this year. So.
Well, we appreciate you being a part of what we do each and every Tuesday. I know for those that have not had an opportunity to come up here, I know we talk about it being, kind of crazy at times, but it's really a kinsmanship amongst the listeners of Jocks 94.5, and we can't thank you guys enough to come up here because seeing the relationships that's been forged has been really cool for me and Landrum.
Yeah, no, I definitely appreciate how welcoming everyone has been, and I think that just speaks volumes to the culture of the show. So
appreciate that.
Appreciate you.
Thanks, man.
Thank you very much. Well, we are live at Social Taco. We're here until 2 o'clock. Come on by and see us. When we come back, we will give you a ton of headlines this morning. A lot going on in the NFL. Alabama lands a verbal commitment from the transfer portal. We'll tell you who that is. All that coming up next on Three Man Front. It is 11:32, Jocks 94.5. Thanks for tuning us in on this gorgeous Tuesday. Come on by and have lunch right here at Social Taco. Brand new menu items today, Landrum. Very excited. We talked to Taylor before we came on the air, and he was showing us and bragging about this new menu. And, man, I agree 100%. It is fantastic. Some wonderful options to go along with that stellar menu that we've experienced for so many months.
Yeah, they got new appetizers that they're debuting today. Not only do they have the chicken feathers, which we love so much, the pulled chicken that are deep fried, but they also have the smoked wings they're offering now, the quesadilla nachos, the chili Relleno spring rolls. Try the buffalo chicken Mexican pizza. I tested it just a couple of weeks ago, and it was fantastic. And it's not your typical buffalo chicken, so just kind of get that out of your mind. But it's inspired by buffalo chicken. Really, really good. Also, some new tacos that you can choose from, like the Buffalo Gringo or the Dirty Crunchy, which we're going to get for Conrad just because it says dirty, but I'm sure it's delicious. Kids are going to eat free. Monday, that's family night. Under 10 kids eat free, and there's all kinds of different stuff that you can enjoy, especially during the warmer months where in the past they've had Cinco de Mayo, or I think they call it the Day of the Dead, but it might, as Taylor was telling us, roll into not only just one day, but maybe 5 days of Cinco.
Yeah, kind of a week-long festival.
Yeah, join us here at Social Taco. We broadcast until 2, 10 to 2 every single Tuesday, but you can come in anytime. Join just our family up here, our Jocks family here in the Taco Terrace, or if you can't get by, enjoy happy hour out on the patio from 3 to 6.
So Alabama lands a 7-foot center from Bucknell. Noah Williamson averaged 17.6 points, 7.6 rebounds per game. He earned him the Patriot League Player of the Year this last season. Originally from Latvia, Williamson has played the last 3 seasons at Bucknell. He ultimately chose Bama over Kansas, but also garnered attention from North Carolina, Ohio State, and many others. So Bama gets that big rim protector. You think playing Duke and having a 7'2" dude there, maybe that kind of made Nate Oates go, oh, you know what? We need that. We need someone of that.
Seems
nature.
like everybody needs a 7-footer these days.
Yeah, whoever needs to turn them down, they're lying because they need one. So, but Noah Williamson has committed to the University of Alabama. So our friend Nick Kelly, he put together an article at AL.com that you can access, and he also listed some players that you need to perhaps keep your eyes on if you're an Alabama basketball fan. Jaron Pierre Jr. from Jacksonville State. He's 6'5", 188-pound guard. He's been all over the place in the college basketball world. He played at Southern Miss for 2 seasons. Then he went to Wichita State. This past season, he played for Jacksonville State. He averaged 21.6 points per game, and he shot a blistering 38% from the three-point arc. That is someone that fits that DNA that obviously Nate Oates in Alabama likes to. So he says keep your eye on him with the likes of Mark Sears and Chris Youngblood leaving because of eligibility. Then all of a sudden, you need an outside shooter. Also, Taylor Bowen from Florida State. He is 6'10", 195-pounder. He is someone that would be really nice fit. You don't know yet if Darion Reed or Jaron Stevenson or Mo Diabate are coming back. So if you could fill one of those empty holes with a 6'10" guy from Florida State, that might be good. He averaged around 25 minutes, scored 8 points, grabbed 5.2 rebounds, 1.5 blocks. He shot 41.4% from beyond the three-point line. Do you see a theme developing here?
Yeah.
Of these players that Nick Kelly is pointing out? Also, Jalil Bethea from Miami. He played 16 games as a starter for the Hurricanes, 7.1 points, averaged 19 minutes. He's listed at 6'5", 190 pounds. I've heard a lot about this next guy that Nick Kelly points out, Corey Chest from LSU.
Yeah, he's a good player.
Chest left an impact on the Crimson Tide. He scored 12 points, grabbed 18 rebounds, blocked 3 shots and 2 steals. He's 6'8". He's 220. He's from New Orleans, started in 19 games, played 20 minutes per game this season, averaged 6.1 points to go with 6.6 rebounds. Now, the final name that I'm going to bring up, and I'm not going to let you see my screen.
All right.
And I want to see your immediate reaction when I give you this name. The final name on this list, Rylan Griffin. He's stunned, ladies and gentlemen. He is speechless.
I almost brought this up yesterday before you even said anything. Would he come back? He's not a 330-pound left tackle.
But you pointed out how much his game has regressed.
Well, are we in this for ultimately Rylan Griffin or Rylan Griffin and Alabama basketball and their ultimate success? I mean, I hope he does well, but Do you bring him back in? I don't know if he left on good terms, what kind of deal that he had with in going to Kansas, but minutes dropped, free throw percentage dropped, I think 3-point percentage dropped, and points per game dropped when he went out to Kansas. But Nate Oates knows what he's getting in Ryland Griffin.
So he averaged 6.3 points per game this year at Kansas, shot right at 34% from three. He averaged 11 points at Alabama and averaged 39% from shooting from three, like you pointed out yesterday.
And does it say free throw percentage too?
It does not.
That dropped.
But you pointed that out.
Yeah, he was at, I think his last season in Alabama, he was around 81%, and I think it dropped to 67% this past year. I'll double-check that. And my apologies if I'm incorrect, but I read those stats yesterday and kind of going through that. I was reading our buddy Pete Nakos of On3, and he is the one that helps us during the football season, kind of lets us know where the market is.
Right.
Okay. So Pete puts out a story today talking about last year it seemed like big men, that was going to be what commanded the most money out of the portal.
Right.
He said that's not necessarily the case this season. What he's seen is if you're a dominant big man, right now the current market for some of these programs, $1.5 to $1.8 million. But what the trend is looking like now is New Mexico guard Donovan Dent, who committed to UCLA last Friday, signed a deal north of $3 million.
Ooh, for a guard.
Yes. He goes on to say that Kentucky was the other top contender to land Dent and met the $3 million mark before losing out to the Bruins. Dent, 6'2", 170-pound guard who averaged almost 21 points per game, a whole bunch of assists, and he shot 49% from the field and 41% from three-point range. So you've got a guy going in a one-year deal at UCLA to play guard, $3 million.
That is amazing. Also, I'm reading Pete Nakos. He goes on to say that right now, Big East programs are closing in on $6 to $8 million budgets for this upcoming basketball season.
And apparently, out of the SEC, LSU has agreed with a deal on, is it Deaton Thomas, UNLV transfer guard?
Yes.
North of $2 million.
Yep. Yeah, I've heard a lot and read a lot that LSU is going to be one of the higher spending teams because, let's face it, they have to. I mean, they're two of the worst teams, them in South Carolina in the SEC.
If we're going to compare, though, if you're like, well, this, I can't really relate it to anything or compare it to anything, it is believed that Janai Broome got just over $1 million to come back to Auburn. Look at Janai Broome and his impact. Mark Sears probably right around the $1 million, maybe a little bit less than $1 million to come back to Alabama this year with his NIL deal.
Right.
But these guys getting $3 million, $2 million.
$3 million. And what did we talk about? That we kind of threw out the idea that Alabama's figure was around $6 million this year. That was what we were kind of told by different people in the industry. Now, one of those players that I just mentioned out of Nick Kelly's article, Taylor Bowen from Florida State, he is visiting Kentucky right now. He is scheduled to meet with Alabama folks tomorrow in Tuscaloosa. So he's in Lexington today, and then he'll be in Tuscaloosa tomorrow. So two SEC teams, hot and heavy, going on. So also just read this.
I like this Noah Williamson kid.
7-footer?
Yeah.
You know, watching some of the video on him last night, he doesn't, you know, I know I'm on stereotype here, but a lot of times when you have a 7-footer, maybe they look cumbersome, you know. But he was getting up and down the court pretty well and had some nice breakaways, and I actually saw him hit it. What was his three-point percentage? Do you happen to have that?
It's 31%. So let's see.
How many did he take?
Goodness. 3-point percentage, it was 31.8%, and I do not have
his attempts.
Yeah, his attempts. But, I mean, that's fine. You're a 7-footer.
And the reason I bring that up is because one of the highlights that I saw was that he pulled up for a three. Come on, you're 7 foot, man. Just take 2 steps and slam it. Like, what are you doing?
Oh, well, yeah. That's my biggest pet peeve. Guy gets it in the block.
Three?
He is a guy gets it in the block. He's a 7-footer. He's surrounded by 2 guards who've converged to try to help at 6'4", and he puts the ball on the ground before he goes up with it. Puts it on the court.
Yeah.
And then it gets swiped away. Just tournament frustrations. 62% almost from the free throw line.
Okay.
Which is where he can make a living in the SEC.
They're gonna have to, they're gonna have to work on that. If
But his name is Noah, so that will be easy for Alabama fans. Williamson.
Yep.
But originally from Latvia. I've never been there. Here it's beautiful.
Have you? Heard that it's beautiful.
Yeah. I watch a lot of documentaries, Pat.
I know that you haven't been to Latvia, but, goes without saying. We're live at Social Taco, a brand new menu, along with all the staples that you've been able to experience. It does look pretty.
Yeah, isn't that pretty?
Pull that up. Yeah.
Look at that suspension bridge.
Very Eastern European.
Yeah.
Come on by and see us. We're here until 2 o'clock, and take a sample of these wonderful opportunities on the menu. Brand spanking new, and, of course, all the greats that you have grown accustomed to here at Social Taco. Pat and Landrum, we're live from Social Taco. More three-man front next on Jocks 94.5. It is 11:47, Jocks 94.5. We're live at Social Taco on this Taco Tuesday. Come on by and see us. We're located on the Taco Terrace, second level here at Social Taco. You know, Landrum, anytime that our friend Bob Iback is on this program, it means that one of our local teams is doing something remarkable. And it's no different today.
No, I can remember when Bob joined us last year, and
Yes.
remember we got those beautiful Alabama Final Four framed pictures to remember it.
Yes.
I can't wait to see what he's offering today.
Yeah, Bob Iback joins us now on three-man front. Bob, hope you are doing well, and I can't wait to hear this Auburn opportunity that our fans get an opportunity to listen to.
Well, Landrum and Pat, it's always a pleasure to be up your way, and I know it seems like we get an opportunity to talk quite often because a lot of the teams, whether they be Auburn or they're Alabama, but they do some great things, and we've got something. If you're an Auburn Tigers fan, you're going to want to go ahead and participate in this because this is very, very special. Auburn is going to the tournament, NCAA championship tournament. We have a season to remember basketball that we're promoting that Auburn fans can get and really put it up in their home or office and display it. I got a chance to see a prototype today. These are full-size official basketballs that will also be upgraded. Hopefully, if the Tigers can go on and win the two games Saturday and Monday, we'll also add national champions for the first time in history for Auburn basketball. They're priced at $149.95. Only 5,000 of these will ever be produced. They're not being sold anywhere but through a toll-free number and website, which I'll give out in just a moment. But I do want to point out on various panels of the ball, everything is embossed. You'll get a numbered certificate of authenticity. These are priced at just $149.95. And you'll get on one of the panels, it'll say Season to Remember with the Auburn logo there. Then right below on another panel, we'll list every game in chronological order with the date, the final score, and the opponent. So you'll be able to go back and look at all the Tigers' victories in their 32-6 season so far, and hopefully two more can be added to that over the weekend. You'll get the Auburn logo on another panel, which just says Auburn Tigers. It's a limited edition get of only 5,000, and it's got that Season to Remember logo right on it. We will upgrade this to national champions if they go on and win the next two games. So here's how you can go ahead and get this special basketball, and it has been a season to remember for Coach Bruce Pearl and his guys, with it winning 32 games so far against only 6 defeats. The toll-free number to call to get these, 1-800-345-2868. Again, that's 1-800-345-2868, or go to NICOsports.com, NIKCOsports.com. That's NIKCOsports.com. When you go there, guys, you can also download a special gift certificate, which will have a photograph of the ball. So you'll be able to give this out instantly to that Auburn fan and know that they're going to be getting this ball in about 6 to 8 weeks. Plenty of time for possibly a Mother's Day gift idea, graduation gift, and certainly for Dad's Day. So I would urge people to do this sooner than later because these will sell out. Only 5,000 will ever be made.
Bob, you guys make such great stuff. You go into my sports room at my house, I've got the 3 Braves World Series balls in the baseballs there in the clear case. I've got the Ronald Acuna record-breaking bat. I got Nick Saban's football and commemorating all of his wins, the Alabama Final Four picture, which I referenced. And you guys just make great stuff. And there's all kinds of different things that you can order, from cases, and if you want to accessorize, if you will, your display and what you get. But we appreciate everything you do, and it's exciting. I don't think you're going to have to worry about the Braves this year making anything special for them. They're 0-5.
Well, you know what? I was in baseball, as you guys know, for many years with the Chicago Cubs in their front office at Dallas Green in the 1980s. My son is the assistant general manager with the Tampa Bay Rays, so I know how things can go up and down very quickly. But I know this, looking at this Auburn program, Coach Pearl has done a fantastic job in building it and been putting a new tradition, so to speak. They got close a couple of years ago in 2019, and I have a feeling they're the Cinderella team in this group, the four teams that are left. Everybody thinks it's going to be Florida against Duke. I'm telling you what, don't back off of Auburn. I think they've got a chance to beat Florida, and if they do that, you never know what's going to happen in that final game.
That is Bob Iback. Give everyone, again, the opportunity to the website, phone number, whatever they need to do to get this wonderful basketball.
Absolutely. Here's what you do. It's $149.95, only 5,000 fully licensed official basketballs with that title on there, a season to remember, and all the scores. You can call 1-800-345-2868. Again, that's 1-800-345-2868. Or go to the website. You can order it there, NICOsports.com, NIKCOsports.com. That's NIKCOsports.com. And I know we'll be checking back with you again as we creep a little closer to Saturday's big game against Florida. And I know that by the weekend, these will probably be close to selling out. And if you order now, you'll also get the final version on there. So Auburn goes on to win this thing, it'll say national champions on there.
Very good. That is Bob Iback. Bob, we will catch up with you again before the week gets out, but we always appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
Nice to talk to you again, guys. Have a good day.
Thank you. You too. That's Bob Iback joining us from Nico Sports. And, man, you just listed off all that cool stuff that you have in your man cave from Nico. It's pretty phenomenal. Whether you want to get this basketball, which is a wonderful opportunity to put in your man cave or your office or to give as a gift, but also you can go to NICOsports.com, and for all of those items that you have and you're looking for, cases and whatnot, you can get those all at Nico Sports.
Yeah, once again, the website, it's NICOsports.com, NIKCO sports.com, or if you want to give them a call, 800-345-2868. And it's not only current stuff that they're offering, but they still have an inventory of other things that they've offered in the past across all sports, so a lot of cool stuff there, and we always appreciate Bob joining us to let us know about these exciting opportunities, because they come at exciting times for people in this neck of the woods, whether it's the Braves, Alabama, Auburn, whatever the sport. It's always really, really good. We got folks that are rolling in here to the Taco Terrace at Social Taco. The doors are wide open. You can enjoy some of the great menu items we've been telling you about since we started.
Absolutely. So come on by and see us. Joining us in the 1 o'clock hour, we will go down to the state of Florida. We'll go to Gainesville and talk to David Waters from the Gators Breakdown podcast. We'll get his thoughts on the Florida Gators as they're in the Final Four. They'll be taking on the Auburn Tigers, two SEC foes there in San Antonio.
How about our friends at Second Generation Masonry? We probably won't see a ton of bricks in San Antonio for the Final Four, but if you need brick, block work, concrete work, decorative stone, anything that you can dream for the outside, you can have our friends at Second Generation Masonry take care of it for you. And if you're a commercial builder, you're looking for a dependable sub, Second Generation Masonry, check them out. Not only residential construction for the outdoor kitchens, a dressed-up patio, fire pit, fireplace, but they can do commercial construction as well. SecondGenerationMasonry.com. Get the free quote today, and as always, tell them Landrum from Three Man Front and Jocks 94.5 sent you.
The Taco Terrace is getting filled up.
We got friends here.
Yeah, we still have a couple of seats remaining. Come on up here and grab them and grab you some lunch here at Social Taco. This is Three Man Front live at Social Taco.
Hey, girl.
Pat and Landrum, come on by and see us. We're here until 2. This is Jocks 94.5.
Oh, it is straight up noon, and we're on the Taco Terrace. This is where we're supposed to be. It just feels right. We got great listeners that have joined us. There are a few seats there available, but Emma Grace just came up.
Yeah, good to see Emma Grace.
She
Listens
enjoys
every
the
day.
show, and she and her dad, she started listening to the show, riding around with her dad.
How about this? She was telling me that she was downstairs. Her and some of her coworkers had come here to have lunch, and she heard Don Don's voice, and she immediately was like, okay, I got to go upstairs. And so she got an opportunity to meet the famous Don Don.
And her life will never be the same.
Yeah.
I noticed how he was engaged in conversation with her, and then you decided that you were going to – you were just going to make sure that everything was okay.
Let's just be honest. I was trying to
Protect
rescue her.
Yeah.
I was trying to make sure that she was, a great listener, and I wanted her to continue to listen.
We couldn't tell if her facial expression was a cry for help or if it was
well, if
like,
you notice,
guys, come rescue me.
Well, if you notice that she was blinking in Morse code.
Yeah, I picked that up.
So I was trying to do my part to try to help her out.
But all is well because she left saying that she was going to come back and join us for lunch up here one day. But we appreciate Emma Grace and all our other great Jocks listeners who've joined us, and Keller Doggett who joined us as well. And he's been coming up here for about a year and a half with the lunch crowd. And he just got back from San Antonio from building all of the infrastructure inside of the Alamo Dome for the Final Four.
Yeah, it's a great crowd as always, and we appreciate. I mean, we've got listeners driving up from Tuscaloosa to be a part of it each and every Tuesday, so we welcome that. Some headlines at this 12 noon hour around not only the NFL but just college basketball. The NFL owners meetings are being conducted down in the state of Florida, and the NFL owners, they have decided to table the Green Bay Packers proposal that would abolish the tush push. We talked about that yesterday. The tabling opens up the rule to potentially have its language tweaked. They're going to get together in May. The reports are, Landrum, that they had a 30 to 40-minute discussion on the tush push. The owners did. And basically the Packers, they're reintroducing language that was deleted 20 years ago that prevented pushing or pulling ball carriers anywhere on the field. So they want that put back in. So if they put that language back in, they believe that would eliminate the tush push. So they've kicked the can down the road. They will come back and vote on that in May. Meanwhile, touchbacks. This was voted upon and passed. Touchbacks will now come out to the 35-yard line instead of the 30-yard line, which in theory will discourage teams from kicking so many balls out of the end zone, which will lead to more returns. Why more returns? Because injury rates are down on the dynamic kickoff. So this was the next step. So once again, kickoffs, touchbacks go from the 30 now to the 35. They want teams to be able to run the ball out. NFL owners also passed the rule making playoff overtime rules apply to the regular season. And I've been for this from day one. I just never understood why you had different rules once you got into the playoffs than the ones you played with in the regular season. So now both teams will get to possess the ball, but the rule was amended to make overtime 10 minutes, not 15 minutes. So overtime is going down 5 minutes.
Okay. Well, first, it seems like we see more pushing and pulling when it comes to piles.
So, like even first downs and whatnot? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, it just seems like we've seen more of that in recent years. So what they decide to do on that is interesting. But I'm like you. If you're going to use a certain set of rules
during the regular season, do it for postseason.
Do it for the postseason.
Or vice versa.
Because those regular season games are going to dictate who's in the postseason.
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
Yep.
Last time I checked, do you use real money for entertainment purposes when you wager on a regular season NFL game?
Yes, I don't do Bitcoin.
Okay. Do you do Bitcoin for the postseason?
No, I do not.
It seems like it would make sense to just be consistent with your rules.
Yes. So touchbacks go out to the 35. You've got now overtime going from 15 to 10 minutes. Both teams will possess it even during the regular season. The Lions' proposal to reseed the playoffs based on your record, that has also been tabled. The NFL's onside kick amendment, that will be adjusted and voted on in May. So that is something that they will continue to look at. So that is some of the updates coming out of the NFL owners meetings down in
so
Florida.
It's just funny the things that they're concentrating on and maybe adjusting, as opposed to the college game where we're still figuring out faking injuries.
Correct.
You don't have to worry about the NFL.
Well, I mean, that's why they have a collective bargaining agreement. So that's why the owners are voting on this. It's not the coaches. It's not the general managers. It's the owners. It's the Shield, the 32 multi-billionaires that own these franchises are the ones that are making those decisions. Now, you were just showing me something during a commercial break, and this would be very interesting. We told you yesterday that Yaxel Lindeborg, he has entered the transfer portal, but he's also keeping up his potential of being drafted in the NBA. Now, the three-man front Twitter poll question of the day, Molly, it has to do with Yaxel Lindeborg and the potential future of the UAB Ford. And what's the result so far?
Yeah, so we asked you, where will he play next season? Will it be at UAB? Will it be at Auburn, Alabama, or the NBA? And, Pat, it is a close race. So Auburn is winning with 32%. NBA has 31%. Alabama has 30%.
Oh, my goodness.
And UAB only with 7%. So you got 32, 31, 30, and then 7.
Well, interesting, Molly. This report coming out with the transfer portal is very active right now in college basketball. It's being reported that UAB's Yaxel Lindeborg met with Kentucky head coach Mark Pope yesterday in Chicago. Of course, Lindeborg started 37 games at UAB this season, 17.7 points per game, 11.5 rebounds, 4.2 assists, 1.8 blocks. He was just absolutely great. Averaged 33.6. But that could be I'm guessing that could be one of those $1.8 to $2 million NIL deals if Yaxel wants to take his services to Lexington, Kentucky.
And you know what? Based on that Pete Nakos article you were just talking about a few moments ago, it appears that Kentucky is going to be one of the bigger spenders in this cycle. And I could see Yaxel going there. I really could, couldn't you?
I could. I could also see, though, and this is kind of still the dating period, but I could also see Yaxel Lindeborg going to another SEC school. I think my prediction would be that Yaxel Lindeborg is in the SEC at somebody's school next year.
So not NBA, but SEC.
Well, if he doesn't go to the NBA.
And not returning to – do you see a pathway for him to return to UAB?
I know he loves UAB. It's just with that financial piece and not knowing from the UAB side, I would hate to speculate. It's $2 million, 1.8. That's going to be tough for a lot of programs to swing. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And we're talking about these programs like Kentucky, like your Louisvilles, all these other your Arkansas last year. They have resources right now that other programs don't. I don't know if he wanted to go to Maryland right now. Do you think he'd get a $2 million deal based on what we heard from Kevin Willard?
No.
And the problems they're having. There's a lot of schools that might have trouble doing.
Well, we
that.
talked about it during the regular season. The SEC basketball programs, it is now an arms race.
Yeah.
It's exactly what we saw back about 10 to 15 years ago with the SEC football facilities. That's what you're having now when it comes to NIL. And when you have 14 of the 16 teams making the NCAA basketball tournament, and let me just throw this number out. If you wonder about the money involved, so the SEC is going to get a record payday for the number of teams that made the NCAA tournament this year. They're going to make $70 million as a conference just in this year's NCAA tournament. Now, the way this works, the NCAA pays conferences one unit. Each unit is worth $2 million for each school that makes the tournament outside of the automatic qualifier. So let's do the math. That means that you've got the automatic qualifier. 13 teams were at-large bids from the Southeastern Conference, so that's 13 earned units. So that gives the conference $26 million in payouts before the tournament even begins, okay? So then schools earn another unit for every win they get in the tournament all the way up to the championship game. Now, SEC schools have totaled 22 wins in the tournament, which is a record itself. Auburn and Florida earned the final 2 units for the SEC after securing the final 4 berths. Now, there are no units awarded for making the championship game or winning the tournament, so the money has now been set. So you take the $26 million that they got for just going to the tournament, and then you take the 22 wins that they have, and you add all that up, and it comes to $70 million that the Southeastern Conference will make this year alone in the men's basketball tournament. And the way that money is distributed, it is based over a 6-year period. So you take the $70 million here and you go back the 5 years prior, and then that money is distributed over the next few years based on the 6-year cycle. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Hope I explained that as well as possible. The Big Ten this year, they got $42 million. So say the SEC made that much more money than the Big Ten. The Big 12 made $40 million. ACC $18 million. Big East made $18 million. So you want to start talking about NIL discrepancies?
Yeah.
And you start talking about the payouts to these schools, that those big checks that they're going to get in Destin. I mean, that's a pretty big deal for the SEC to get $70 million this year in the men's basketball tournament. Pretty amazing.
Yeah. Well, basketball pulling their weight now.
About time, right?
Right. That's what all the SEC football coaches. SEC meetings just got a lot nicer there in Sandestin.
I just wonder when they're just going to go to a nice, quiet island somewhere like Fiji.
Fiji?
Just have it in Fiji.
I always said that I thought it would be fun if they wanted to change it
Couldn't
up.
you see Lane
Rent
Kiffin?
out an amusement park?
Like Lane Kiffin in Fiji?
Lane Kiffin in Fiji. I bet he's been to Fiji.
Yeah, sure he has.
They probably all know his name.
Probably so.
Here comes Joey Freshwater.
So Landry was just telling us Yaxel Lindeborg meeting with the Kentucky Wildcats.
Well, and it's not only that. It's being reported that Kentucky's not the only school making a push for Yaxel Lindeborg. Also, they're reporting that Arkansas, BYU, Auburn, Alabama, Michigan, Ole Miss, Georgetown, and Memphis have reached out to Yaxel Lindeborg inquiring about his services.
Wow. Interesting. Very interesting.
I could see Ole Miss. I could see Yax there at Ole Miss. Be a good fit. Yax is going to be a good fit anywhere because Yax is such a good person, and just getting to know him. Great teammate, very unselfish, but just a delightful human being to be around. And
yeah, good dude.
He's not going to be a problem in anybody's locker room or rocking the boat, so to speak. We continue live here from Social Taco in Homewood. We got other friends that are joining us now. It is a packed house. You can tell it's spring. The beautiful weather is outside. Some people making their way to the patio. You can as well. If you can't join us before 2 when we go off the air, enjoy the half-off happy hour on the patio from 3 to 6, half-off apps, half-off drinks, all kinds of good stuff, including $8 Mexican pizzas, $6 chicken feathers, which Pat's going to have delivered here in just a moment. SocialTaco.bar for more information. We continue here on Three Man Front on a festive Tuesday. More Final Four talk, transfer portal, your phone calls, and texts as well. Three Man Front on Jocks 94.5.
Welcome back in on this beautiful Tuesday. This is Three Man Front live at Social Taco in Homewood. Come on by and see us. Are you ready to elevate your driving experience? You know, March is completed, but now April, it just means that there's more better deals that you can get anywhere except right there at Courtesy GMC in Trussville. Whether you're looking for a brand new Yukon, a Yukon XL, whether it's a GMC Sierra truck, they've got it all. Acadias, Terrains, you name it. They've got it. Incredible deals on whatever style you want, whether it's a bigger SUV for a full-size family or if you're downsizing a little bit but you still want that crossover. You can get them all right there at Courtesy GMC in Trussville. Whether it's SLTs, Sierras, trucks, Canyons, they got it all right there at Courtesy GMC in Trussville. Matter of fact, they've got over 50 certified used vehicles on the ground ready for you to come by and check out. All makes, all models. You have to check out their vast selection of pre-owned inventory in person. Go see Robert Doremus, the pre-owned vehicle director, right there at Courtesy GMC. The entire selection can be viewed at courtesybirmingham.com. They will not be beat on any deal. So you can check them out at courtesybirmingham.com. Compare dealerships. I encourage that. They encourage that. Again, you're not going to find a better deal anywhere. They will make it happen. Go see Drew Lawley, Josh Gargis, the fantastic team right there at Courtesy GMC in Trussville.
800-239-WJOX. We open up the phone lines, and Alan, who has been waiting patiently, joins us now. Hey, Alan, how are you?
Doing fine. Just thought your listeners might like a little bit of a heads up. Shelton State Community College there in Tuscaloosa will be playing for the National Junior College Women's Basketball Championship.
Awesome.
This afternoon at 5 o'clock.
At 5 o'clock.
Oh, nice.
And now I assume that we can stream that if we want to watch it.
Well, don't have to stream. It's ESPNU.
Oh, that's even better.
5 p.m.
Yeah, it is even better. We watched the other games on streaming, and they defeated the number one team in the nation, Chipola, 3 days ago, 61-60. Last night they beat the number 3 team in the nation, 60-59 in overtime. So it's been quite an exciting ride. And but at 5 o'clock, this afternoon they'll be playing Northwest Florida.
Northwest Florida.
Championship.
Well, that is awesome. Alan, we appreciate you pointing that out. And absolutely, today at 5 o'clock on ESPNU, we will check it out.
And one other quick little tidbit. UConn women had the longest conference winning streak in women's basketball a few years back. It was 169.
Right.
Shelton State had 215.
Oh, wow.
And they did not lose the conference game for 10 years. So, but they are the underdog, but that'll be, maybe we can bring 2 national championships to the state here in the next few days.
Alan, thanks for making us aware of this. This is awesome. And sorry that we did not know about it, but we'll be tuning in today at 5 o'clock on ESPN.
Well, that's great. Coach Madonna Thompson, who was a guard for Alabama years ago.
Yeah.
And she's just had a fantastic run of the national tournament in the Elite Eights and Final Fours. But this is the first championship game, so that'd be quite a feather in their cap if they can pull it out. But it'll be fun to watch at 5 o'clock.
We appreciate the phone call. Thank you so much, Alan. Have a great rest of your Tuesday.
Enjoy your.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alan.
Thank you, Alan. And I will check that, and I'm taking his word for it. And this might be just an error, or maybe they changed the schedule as far as ESPN. It listed here on the website as ESPN Plus, but we can check and see if it's actually ESPNU. But yeah, today you get Shelton State NJCAA National Women's Championship game against Northwest Florida.
Very nice.
Northwest Florida State. I don't know if they.
Does FSU Dave? Does he know anything about
Northwest Florida State? I don't know. Maybe so. Huh. And we're just waiting for the feed to catch up with him, and it hasn't caught up with him yet.
Because he's listening at his table off the Jogs 94.5 app. So you remember a couple weeks ago where Deion Sanders said, you know what, for our spring game, we want to do something different. Like we want to play another team. Remember that?
Yeah, they want to play Syracuse, right?
So all of a sudden, Fran Brown, the Syracuse head coach, he said, hey, I'll bring my guys out to Boulder. We'll play.
Yeah.
Okay, so then they went to the NCAA and they asked for a waiver so that they could play each other. And I know it's going to shock you, Landrum, but the NCAA said, no, not going to happen. Not happening. Sorry. Well, Fran Brown got in front of a camera and a microphone, and this is what he had to say about the NCAA denying the proposal for a spring game or practices between Syracuse and Colorado.
We should have just told Coach Belichick and Bill O'Brien to come up with it, and then they would have let them do it, and then it would have all went right. We shouldn't have been the first two dudes to say, damn well they wasn't about to let Coach Prime Time and Fran Brown be the first two guys to do it. It was over their dead bodies, so that wasn't happening that way. I'm just messing with you, NCAA. Don't get all mad and call my AD and try to find me. I'm literally joking. But I think that they were headed in the right direction, right? And they had all the right reasons. It wouldn't have gave everybody the same opportunity, right? It would have been a little advantage and it wasn't about us being able to practice, because us practicing together would have only limited the amount of people on the field. It would have been 11 on the field now instead of, we goes 2 spots, so it's 44. So now instead of that, it would have been 11 going at a time, right? The financial literacy stuff that me and Coach Prime was talking about being able to do would have been something that these kids would have been taking with them for a long time. And then we was going to have it set up where our study hall was going to be together. Guys was going to be in there doing work and things of that nature. So we were trying to build like a full family, more so than just, hey, the spring game was going to do that. That would have been a cool event at the spring game, but it was more so about this spring ball thing. Everyone's trying to fade away from it. They don't want everyone to see it. So we're trying to bring some light to it to say hey, this is a huge event, right? This would have been a huge fight going on. You'd have been able to see us play them on April the 18th, the day before Easter, in Colorado. Everything would have sold out, right? So now you could have been able to look forward to that. You could get Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, those dudes aren't all in the same conference. Well, I don't really know the conference, but you can get all them now and start playing each other and doing different things like that. I think that would be amazing if we start doing that. I heard Temple and Penn State was trying to, and afterwards, I don't know what that would have been, but it was just a good deal, to have people go and do it, right? So let's see how it goes. I think that we've opened it up, and it should happen next year. It should be good.
Yeah, it's interesting he said that, because it came up in the Inferno podcast that I do weekly for UAB, and just give you a sneak peek, Trent Dilfer was on with us yesterday, and he brought this up, and Coach Dilfer, and just paraphrasing, but he said, I thought when Deion Sanders and Fran came out and they said it, especially with Deion, it would get more traction. Dilfer said that they actually already had a school from outside of the state that they had an agreement with that they were going to practice with and have some of these situational type things if it was passed and it was allowed. So that's just an example, and I'm sure that there's plenty of other programs that had already kind of reached out and looked at some of their possible dancing partners for these spring type join up with another program thing. So maybe if that leads us to believe anything, in his closing comment in that clip that we just heard, Pat, was that this will probably get momentum and get done. It was just kind of hit everybody all of a sudden, and they won't go ahead and try to rush it through to enact it this spring.
I agree. I think ultimately it will happen. It was just the fact that the NCAA probably didn't want to come across like, okay, they're trying to force our hand at something. Let's go through the bureaucracy. Let's have a committee meeting. Let's do this. Let's do that. But yeah, I think ultimately this is going to happen. So,
but what happens? There's potential that it could. But what happens when you get two programs going at it, and all of a sudden, portal opens up, and guy whose team was practicing against other teams,
all of a sudden he ends up.
He really liked the way the kid looked in drills all week, and said, "You know what? There's going to be some upside," and that could happen. But I think all in all, it's a really good idea, and it's a fresh take on spring practices and how it can be better for maybe everybody.
Yes, I mean I think it will ultimately. It will happen, but you just mentioned it. That's the thing that potentially could happen down the road in regards to practicing with somebody, because you really get it up close and personal and see what the personality of that individual player is. So that is going to be fascinating to see when it does come to fruition.
We got some text, 205-834-9450. On the text line, Josh sends this one in, Pat, and he says, Landrum, if there's one Brave you could pull an April Fool's Kyle Kendrick-style prank today, who would you choose? So Kyle Kendrick, that was the April Fool's where they told him that he had been traded to Japan.
Yes. And it's interesting that he brought up Kyle Kendrick because he's pitching tonight against the Cardinals.
Ooh.
He plays for the Angels now.
Trying to think, what would be a Brave that you go and you tell, I got it. It's easy. Jesse Chavez.
Say we've released you.
You come back for the 6th time, welcome home, but now you're going to Tokyo.
Yeah, we're going to release you, and then tomorrow you re-sign him for the 7th time.
I would say Snicker, but I don't know if his heart could handle it. Good old Snick. This one rolling in. Northwest Florida State is pretty good. The Tuscaloosa team beat my Chipola Indians, who are pretty well known in basketball and especially baseball. That's Kyle, listening on the app there in Florida. Trying to collect myself. Don leading cheers up here. Jake sends this one in. I would welcome Rylan Griffin back. He didn't just suddenly become a worse player at Kansas. He obviously ended up playing in a system that didn't work for him. I think he could come back to Bama with a chip on his shoulder, and he now knows Coach Oates is the best coach for him. Thank you, Jake. We appreciate it.
So he would take him back. He would take Rylan Griffin. That was one of the names that Nick Kelly put out of, hey, just if you're an Alabama basketball fan, maybe a reunion could happen. He's not predicting it. He just said, hey, throwing that name out there.
Is Quinn Early still available?
But yeah, he's got his 9th year of eligibility ready to go.
Ken asking, is Yaxel Lindemore going to Kentucky? We can report, and we brought it up on the show, that he met with Coach Mark Pope in Chicago yesterday, but the likes of Auburn, Alabama, Michigan, Memphis, Ole Miss, Arkansas, some of the other schools, and BYU that have reportedly reached out to Yak, so we'll monitor that situation. This one rolling in, and this is somebody else. I built the 2008 Final Four in San Antonio. It was a half-stadium build. I worked with friends at Colonnade.
Yeah, the Colonnade group.
Colonnade group. He said, we built the floor in the end zone and rolled the first 30 rows of seats from the other end zone, then built row 30 through 65 behind the roll-in seats. I don't know why this – I told you I watched YouTube, and it was the United Center of them changing out the floors from hockey to basketball to concert. I can watch that stuff all day. I don't know. It's just, some people think it's boring. I think it's great.
No, I think it's fascinating, too, the way they transform these venues, these multi-purpose venues into a basketball or baseball, because it's fun watching Minnesota Golden Gopher baseball because they play at U.S. Bank Stadium. So it's kind of an addition of the old Metrodome. You remember with the old baggies up for the for the walls.
Metrodome. What a joke. Mike in Huntsville, thanks for listening on the Ump. He says, I'm in construction. How can I get a job with Keller? We will ask Keller. We got your contact information, and I don't know if they're hiring or not. I don't know how frequent those events are. Because I think they do a little bit of everything. Didn't he say they do golf? And
I think so.
Golf, that would be fun, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Mac,
sports construction, right?
Yeah. Mac in Moundville says, eat a taco for me. More than one taco. And somebody asking, hey, Pat, did you see what the attendance was in St. Louis last night?
I did. 21,000. It was the lowest attended baseball game in the history of Busch Stadium 3.
He said, hope the ownership will get the message and get this team a manager.
Need a few more things than just a manager.
Well,
but
you guys have won 3 more games than we have, so
that is true.
Talking about the Braves, we just had one of our listeners who came up and apparently did not stay up late for the game in L.A., and he wrote on
he asked you if the Braves
paper towel. He said, hey, did the Braves win last night? And shook my head and said, no, they didn't even score till the 8th. Bad news. Appreciate the text. Keep them rolling in.
Let's take a look at the old baseball point spread tonight. Let's see if there's any value in the old Bravos.
There's no value in the Braves.
They're plus 115 on the money line. It's 167 if you go plus 1.5 on the Braves tonight. The run total is 7.5 over under. So Last night, I think the Braves on the money line was, I think, plus 150, something like that. I don't think they're as confident as May on the bump for the Dodgers tonight because this is his first start since he came off the injury. So,
yeah. I can tell you what I'm not doing with our friends at Prize Picks. I'm not picking any of the Braves, or if I do, I'm probably going to go less. Prize Picks, you can download the app today. I've been telling you about it for college basketball, whether it's professional basketball, professional baseball, all kinds of different sports, and it's player projections. They make it really easy. So it's not point spreads, but it's player projections, individual performances that you get. So in baseball tonight, and I rolled last night with a couple of baseball players, but you got Freddie Freeman taking on his former team, the Atlanta Braves. There's all kinds of options there. So it's hits, runs, plus RBIs, 1.5, more or less. He gets more than that. You pick more, then he wins. You got to get 2 or more player projections correctly. And I'll give you my lineup in just a little bit. But Prize Picks, you download the app today. You fill out all your information. Make sure that you enter promo code WJOX, and you're going to get $50 back instantly after your first $5 play, win or lose. WJOX is the promo code. After you download the app, first $5 play, they're going to kick back $50 instantly to your account with our friends at Prize Picks. Tonight, we've got baseball. Freddie Freeman, hits plus fantasy score. So hits plus fantasy score, more or less than 6.5. I would go less on Freddie Freeman. I think he has trouble against Chris Sale. And then,
is he playing tonight? I mean, he fell in the shower last night.
Well, things happen. Freddie's weird. But that's why I'm going less.
Do you think it was a Conrad Van Order shower incident that took place?
Do we think it was a Dustin Johnson steps at Augusta National?
I don't know.
Type deal. There's some conspiracies going around that one, too. And then Mookie Betts, 1.5 hits plus runs batted in. More or less, I will go more for Mookie Betts tonight. It's just that easy. Both those guys, they hit. My player projections, I'm going to win. You can win as well. Prize Picks, we appreciate their partnership. Just make sure you enter promo code WJOX.
We're live at Social Taco. Come on by and see us. Still a couple of tables, seats available if you want to come up and enjoy lunch with us. This is Jocks 94.5. Welcome back in. It's three-man front on this gorgeous Tuesday. Great crowd as always here at Social Taco. If you've not had an opportunity to come by and be a part of the fun and frivolity and the great food, please make a point of contention on your calendar next Tuesday. Come on and see us.
Yeah, it's a whole lot of fun. It's community. It really is community. You got different ages. You got men. You got women. You've got beautiful people. You've got not so beautiful people.
Would you like to classify which ones are not beautiful?
No, just kidding. I was hoping that he would hear me for his benefit. But no, Don's running things. He is the mayor. He's got a name tag that says so, the First Lady BB, and so many other great Jocks listeners. And the thing we love, most every Tuesday we meet someone new.
Yes.
That has been listening to the show and saying, hey, I've been trying to do it. But join us here at Social Taco, socialtaco.bar. For more information. We do have a text coming in and just asking me about the prize pick. My lineup for tonight, Mookie Betts more than 1.5 hits plus runs batted in. And then I'm going Freddie Freeman less than 6.5 on his fantasy score, or his score tonight as far as hitting. So you can dive into that and enjoy prize picks. A lot of fun.
So earlier we were
Watch
talking
the Braves lose.
I feel good about them tonight. Just telling you. So the NFL, a lot of things happening at their meetings right now. We told you about the tush push being tabled. So that conversation will take place in May. Touchbacks are coming out to the 35 instead of the 30. They also said the overtime rules that they have in the playoffs, that will now go to the regular season. And overtime has been cut down from 15 to 10 minutes. And how about this? No more chain gang, Landrum. No more. The NFL has announced that Sony's Hawkeye technology will be used next season to electronically measure first downs. The chain crew is remaining on the sidelines as a backup. But a new era is officially underway in the National Football League. No more chain gangs.
It'd be so easy to get really comfortable if you're on that chain crew for next year. And then Hawkeye goes out, and they're like, hey, guys.
Oh, gosh. I got to do something.
No, I think this is good. I like having the human beings as backup because anything can happen and go crazy with technology. But if we have this kind of software, technology, at our disposal, and we do it for really, really, really important things, and I know that football and outcomes of games are important, but the inexact science that is the spotting of a football.
Yes.
If there's anything that I have wanted to get correct in the game, especially at the college level, can we get some accurate spots?
Yes. And listen, once the NFL and this Hawkeye technology, which has already been used in, I believe, tennis and some other sports and soccer, then it's going to filter down to college. It's going to have to, just like when instant replay started in regards to officiating. So just get ready for that. Some other items from the NFL meetings that I found interesting. The NFL has announced that there are going to be 3 games on Christmas Day this year. 3.
I better get 3 halftimes from Beyonce.
Ooh.
So 2 are going to air on Netflix. 1 is going to air on Amazon Prime Video.
Oh.
Because Christmas falls on Thursday this year. So the Amazon game is part of their normal package.
Makes sense.
So you'll have Netflix earlier in the day, the back-to-back, and then at night you will have a 3rd game. So get ready for that. Also, the NFL owners, they have approved a measure lowering the deadline for the Flex Thursday night football schedule. It used to be 28 days. Like you would have to say, okay, we're considering the Rams and the Cardinals a month from now, 28 days. Well, now they have lowered that to 21 days. So it's a 3-week window. So let's just say if there's a team that is catching fire or a team that's not playing that well, that gives them a little bit more flexibility to kind of move things around. So I think that's a good thing for the NFL viewer. One other item. I found this very interesting. I want to get Molly's take. I want to get your take on this. The NFL could one day play a regular season game in this city. What city do you think it is?
Is it stateside or?
No, it's overseas.
Overseas. They could play one?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my goodness.
a regular season game, and they have, get this, they have visited this location. There is interest in this city and the country that wants to host this game. But we're talking about a regular season game. We're not talking about like a preseason.
Yeah.
Let's just do this to have some fun. This is a regular season game, like the London games.
I'm going to say Dubai or Moscow.
I was going to say Dubai.
Well, it is Dubai.
Oh, cool.
Yep. The NFL, they have been to Dubai. They've been to Abu Dhabi. They have looked around the country. Everybody wants to be a part of it. And so the NFL is absolutely looking at the possibility of having the game overseas in that location. That's a great guess by both of you guys.
Good job, Andrew.
I've watched a lot of documentaries on Dubai as well, and some of the islands that they created with the sand and
the Palm Islands.
Yeah, they were having a problem because the water was not flowing correctly, and so they had to do some things to help it to where you wouldn't have stagnant water. But no, Dubai is a place that's got a ton of money. It's more westernized than some of the other Arab countries. It's a lot more westernized than a lot of them. But there are still some of those things that you have to be aware of. It's not like you're going to Vegas and you just let your hair blow in the wind and do whatever you want to do. There's still some things that NFL fans will need to be conscious of if they're going to go and make the trip if that game ever happens.
Yeah. So they are considering Dubai or Abu Dhabi. So
Burr is asking, going back, does the technology replace the placement of the ball by the refs? That is a good question. So where does, if they say here, are they able to see it? Are they able to match it up with the Hawkeye technology where they can see and just make sure that the ball is meeting up to the line? I'm guessing yes.
Yeah, the way I believe it's going to work is the way you described it.
Because why would you have all of this expensive technology that you're implementing and then you still got Leroy spotting the football? Just guessing. Yeah, look close.
Yeah, we got this $1 billion technology, but it's going to come down to whether Leroy got into a fight with his wife before he came to the stadium.
There are so many spots during a football game, and you see it because you do get games on Friday night. I see it on Friday nights, and then especially – but it really opens your eyes because I do sideline at UAB, and I can see right down the line. And I'm not saying just specific to UAB calls, and it can go both ways, but there are some times like, what game is this guy watching?
Yeah. I'm with you.
And that can mean the difference of getting a fourth down conversion or a third and short. There's a lot of lost yards. And I know they do the best they can, but let's get it accurate.
Yeah. We're live at Social Taco. Come on by and see us. Rob from Helena just showed up. Good to see Rob. And a lot of the fine listeners here at Jocks 94.5 coming by to see us. Gringo is holding court over there at his table. So, yeah, just a lot of great people coming by and having lunch with us. Hope to see you. We'll be here until 2 o'clock. This is Jocks 94.5.
It appears we've entered a new season. It just feels like I know it's warmer outside and it's spring. We got the Final Four coming up this weekend, but everybody seems to be in just a great mood.
Justin's in a great mood.
Yeah, Justin's in a great mood. Usually he's all doom and gloom trying to hurt himself, but he's
Eula's
good.
in a great mood.
Eula? Yeah. Steve is still just
Steve is still Steve.
He's still Steve.
Yeah. But no, it's great to see some of our wonderful co-workers and listeners come on by and enjoy lunch here at Social Taco. You too can have an opportunity. We'll be here until 2 o'clock. Outstanding crowd today.
Did you play any of the college basketball showcase tournament games last night?
Molly told me to take Nebraska last night, and I was umpiring last night, so I did not have an opportunity to watch, but she tells me that Nebraska won. So
they sure did.
Congratulations. Who do they have next in the big Crown tournament?
I'll have to look at the bracket. I actually don't know.
Did you watch it?
Yeah, I watched some of it.
Okay.
I was kind of getting worried, though, but they had a good second half, and they came out and won, so
okay.
Go Big Red.
There you go.
Did you have any action on the 7 and 8-year-old game?
I did not. I did not.
Yeah,
I don't do that.
Any? No, I'm kidding about that. Any controversy last night?
Not at all. 2 good games. I mean, for the first game of the season, we christened.
How was the new turf?
Oh, the new turf's fantastic. Ballpark looks fantastic. The new ball fields that Trustful had, they shut the old ballpark down that both my kids grew up in.
With the rain that we got yesterday, there's no way that you guys would have played under the old surface, right?
No. I would have been out there on the field with a dolphin. And for those that you know what a dolphin.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But I was just imagining people going, "Wait, a dolphin?"
Not the porpoise.
Yes.
The actual. It's a piece of equipment that you use to. It's basically it's a large sponge.
Yeah.
That you use.
It's got a blowhole.
Yep. To roll across the field. So. Molly tells me that she believes they get Georgetown next, the Hoyas.
Oh, yeah.
It's interesting that you bring up the Hoyas because, and Pat ponders in a little bit, one of the questions might have to do with, in my lifetime, something with the Hoyas.
Always loved. I had a sweatshirt. It was a Georgetown Hoyas sweatshirt that I got. I love
with the dog,
the character, dog, and the colors and everything else. Yeah, Nebraska they do get Georgetown.
What's the point spread?
They do not have one listed right here. I'm just looking on ESPN, but coming up tomorrow, 8:30 on FS1, Nebraska taking on
Go
Georgetown.
Big Red.
Yep. And before that, you get Butler and Boise.
Nebraska's a 7.5-point favorite over Georgetown.
Let's go.
Was it Georgetown that had the streak that went into last year? Was that the losing streak in the Big East?
Oh, yeah. You would talk about it almost at least a couple times.
Well, I faded them.
Each and every week.
I would bet money line, Georgetown. Yep. Like $5, you'd win like $8,000. Of course, I never won. But. Okay. Well, that's still going on. Not a bad time to have an extra tournament. You get money, fund your program. Wait, it has been a minute, though, since I know Thompson's son, he took them to – they went pretty deep in a tournament one year, if I can remember correctly.
Yeah.
But it has
They went south quick.
It has not been great. They've had better seasons than they have in recent times. So the only time they won it was – I don't know if this is going to mess up your question, so I won't say it. But looking year by year – Patrick Ewing, in his time there, it was not great. And they went to the NCAA tournament 2014-2015 under John Thompson, and they made it to the Sweet 16. Losing there it says the third round. I guess that would officially be the Sweet 16. But, yeah, it has not been good.
All right.
But 18 and 15 this year.
So I just want to make sure that this is not an April Fool's joke. And apparently it's not. So Ohio State transfer Michi Johnson.
That's big, man.
He is going back to South Carolina.
That's big.
He has a 6th college season. And the reason why this is such a crazy story, this marks the 3rd time in 6 years that the shooting guard has bounced between the two programs. So so he was at Ohio State originally, Then he goes to South Carolina. He leaves South Carolina to go back to Ohio State, and now he's leaving Ohio State to go back to South Carolina. Am I reading this right?
Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
This is kind of like me with YouTube TV and Fubo up until this
Just
year.
keep going back and forth.
Well, it just depends on the time of the year. Looking at his stats from this past year, his production, it dropped off. So
he only appeared in 10 games this year for Ohio State.
Yeah, and that might be why. But 14.1 is what he averaged his last year at South Carolina. This year, you're right, 10 games played and 9.1 points. But that's really big for South Carolina because you keep Boyles, who other people were trying to lure
And you
away.
got Eagles staff, who scored 700
That's
points
right.
against Alabama this year.
You got Eagles staff, the sharpshooter from North Dakota. Well, I guess it is really magnified when you're as bad record-wise as Lamont Paris in South Carolina was this year. Everybody starts paying attention. Now it's time to put money in the coffers, and apparently they're doing that.
Also, some breaking news coming out. It appears that Buzz Williams is leaving Texas A&M. He is going to the University of Maryland.
That's good news. Get rid of the troll.
Is not April Fool's. That is coming from Pete Thamel, from his account. So Texas A&M now looking for a head basketball coach.
Who do you go get? Texas's old coach? One o'clock, welcome back in. Three-man front on this Taco Tuesday live from Social Taco. The breaking news, in case you missed it, Buzz Williams, Texas A&M head men's basketball coach, reportedly going to replace Kevin Willard at Maryland. If you don't know the bio of one Buzz Williams, he is a native Texan. He was born in Greenville, Texas, if you didn't know that, and played his college ball there at Oklahoma City and Texas A&M Kingsville, but leaving reportedly to take the Maryland basketball job. A little bit of surprise from you, Pat Smith?
I'm very surprised. I am shocked by this. You just mentioned it. He's a Texas native. Texas A&M has tons of money. They've got the facilities. This one's a head scratcher for me. It really is.
There were a couple of jobs, though, that he never pulled his name out and that he reportedly had mutual interest in. One of those jobs was, of course, Indiana, but there were a couple of others that were out there that potentially Buzz Williams was going to take. And I'd seen his name maybe for West Virginia, but Buzz Williams leaving the SEC to go to the Big Ten to take over that Maryland program. And you think about it, Trev Alberts, his new AD. He's not the one who hired him.
True.
Ross Bjork, the guy who hired him, it was Ross Bjork, wasn't it? Or was it Woodward that hired him?
Might have been Woodward.
It might have been Woodward.
Yeah.
But he's not working for the guy that hired him, and so Buzz Williams chooses to head back to the East Coast where he's been before.
Well, one thing's for sure, the University of Florida, they got a good one. Todd Golden has brought this Gator program resurgent back to the Final Four, and joining us now from the Gators Breakdown podcast, David Waters joins us on the Higginbotham Hotline. David, your readers and listeners to your podcast, they're pretty happy right now as Florida has returned to the Final Four.
Absolutely. First time since 2014, Florida's back there in the Final Four, and a team that was led by Patrick Young, Scotty Wilbekin, go to the Final Four and get beat by UConn when Florida seemed to be the best team in the country that season. So righted that wrong a couple of games ago when Florida went down to the wire with UConn and came away, and then another tough game against Texas Tech. But yeah, Florida, since Billy Donovan arrived at Florida, certainly a program that has been in the upper echelon of college basketball overall.
Yeah, they have been, but it hasn't been as easy for some of the successors. Mike White, he never reached this level, and what Todd Golden is doing at Florida right now. How has Todd Golden been able to resurrect this Gator program to being back in the elite conversation in college basketball?
Yeah, it's kind of really fascinating how he did it as such a young coach, and a young coach in today's college athletics. With the transfer portal and NIL, and how you have to build a roster now. Him being able to put that together as a young coach, he's still learning the game overall as a young coach, and going to a big program like Florida and still figuring all this out along the way. I kind of liken it to. I put it out, and there was on Twitter yesterday, like, everybody kind of up in arms. Not everybody, but so many people are up in arms about, hey, there's no Cinderella team or anything this year. It's all number one seeds. It's all chalk. Well, there's some really good stories on this Florida team, the way Todd Golden was able to build it. And, through the transfer portal and smaller schools like Walter Clayton coming from Iona and returning home to his state of Florida, from Belmont, Will Richard came from FAU. That's where Elijah Martin come from. Thomas Houck, not a very highly recruited player, didn't have many SEC offers and gets his dream offer at Florida and signs with Todd Golden. So while there might not be any Cinderella teams, there's some good, quote-unquote, Cinderella player stories, and I think Florida fits that mold a bit where not a ton of McDonald's All-Americans on this team and the like. So I think it's just a credit to Todd Golden and being able to kind of put together a roster that has reached this level, and it's a pretty good mix of transfer portal and traditional high school recruiting.
Okay, David, let's go back to the regular season. Was there one particular game? I know the easy answer would be what happened at Neville Arena as Florida got its first ever true road win against a number one team in their college basketball history. But was there a game that most Florida people point to and say, yes, this is the one that really put us on the trajectory that we're currently on?
Yeah, I think when you go, I think you do start in conference play just because of how deep the SEC was, how top-heavy the SEC was. And number one at the time, Tennessee went into the O-Dome, and Florida just beat the brains out of Tennessee by like 30 points. Tennessee came in as the top-ranked team in the country at that point, and Florida just put it on them. Florida started conference play with a loss at Rupp Arena to Kentucky, and I think a lot of people were wondering, okay, maybe if Florida had went undefeated at a conference and you lost your first conference game, so all right, maybe this team is not as good as we think they are. And then they finally had that big matchup against Tennessee. Tennessee comes in and Florida just wipes the floor with them. So I think that was the point there of getting that win over a number one team. And, of course, you got a win over a number one Auburn and Alabama not too long after that as well. Florida had some really big road wins. You might could point to those as kind of as you alluded to, but I'd go back to getting that first big win over a top-ranked opponent when Tennessee came to Gainesville, and the game wasn't even close.
When you look at this Auburn team, and it's been an Auburn team that they were there on top of the college basketball world for so many consecutive weeks, but you still had that loss to Florida where they retained their number one ranking. We saw how they kind of, I hate to use the word petered out, but they didn't look like Auburn the past few games or the last few games of the regular season. Now it seems like they've kind of gotten a little bit of that swagger back. When you look at this rematch that we're going to get in San Antonio on Saturday, what are some of the things that concern Florida and Todd Golden about this Bruce Pearl-led Auburn team?
I think, of course, I think you start with Broome because I think for Florida's bigs have not been that great in the tournament so far. You've had one of his best performances of the year was Alex Condon there in Auburn, and Alex Condon has not been the same player. Dating back to kind of the end of the season, the SEC tournament, NCAA tournament so far has not been there. Ruben Chinyelu, who I thought has come along and progressed really nicely, developed really nicely for Florida, is another big man who hasn't really put it together yet for Florida in the NCAA tournament. So I think Florida's going to need their big guys to beat Auburn and maybe to win it all. They just haven't been playing well. And like I said, with Alex Condon, maybe he could garner some confidence if he played so well at Auburn in that upset win earlier in the season. So I think that's where I'd go. Florida's got to get better play. And Florida hasn't played their best game yet. Kind of going to what you guys were talking to, I think going into the tournament, and a lot of people were saying, Florida's the best team going into the tournament. Florida hasn't looked like that, in my opinion, but has still found ways to win. So I think you can kind of look at it both ways. Is it a good thing Florida hasn't played their best game yet, and that's still waiting on Florida, or maybe they just can't reach that ceiling in the tournament? So I think Auburn's just a matchup, and all the rematch factors, all the revenge factors that come along with it as well. That game was so long ago. Florida didn't have Elijah Martin in that game, one of their starters. So I think that's something that's going to be looked at a little bit different from that first matchup. So certainly I just think, how Florida's bigs play, to me, is the most important part of this rematch.
You might not know this figure off the top of your head. You may know it. But what is Todd Golden's current contractual status at the University of Florida?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay, and the reason I ask that is because it's every time you turn around, you're going to get a lot of teams across the country. They're going to try to come into the conference because of the dominating nature in which the SEC and what Todd Golden has done in Gainesville. Just like, every time we turn around, there's some story about another school interested in Nate Oates or Bruce Pearl, whatever the case may be. And it goes without saying, Todd Golden's youth, his age, his experience at such an early part of his career, getting to the heights that he's gotten to so far, I would think that he would be a very big wanted commodity there in Gainesville. And I was just curious, how much that Strickland would be able to kind of lock him down, just like Alabama did with Nate Oates, because if you want Nate Oates, it's going to cost you about $20 million to get him out of Tuscaloosa. I would think that Todd Golden is now in that conversation to be up near that stratosphere.
Yeah, I think he's probably on the fast track. As soon as this season's over with, I'm sure that's going to be discussed. So, you put together a performance like that and like this, and you can see the upper trajectory of the program. So, of course, I think he would garner that. Look, I remember, before North Carolina recently came out and kind of supported Hubert Davis, there was a little bit of whispers and stuff with North Carolina come calling if they decided to make a move. So yeah, kind of going to your point there, his name is going, as young as he is and the success he's had so far, you're going to start seeing some of the big program, if they have an opening. Todd Golden's name was probably, Billy Donovan's name was out there over and over and over again while he was at Florida. And, a lot of people perceive Florida is not really a basketball school. So would one of the best coaches in the country want to stay and be at a football school per se? And I think that's why you'll always hear it as far as, the SEC schools go, because football usually comes first. But Billy Donovan stuck around till he went to the NBA, turned down many jobs. So I think Florida's got the resources to pay their basketball coach to want to stay.
Talking to David Waters from the Gators Breakdown podcast joins us talking Final Four as Florida gets ready to take on Auburn. In regards to the folks that you talked to around that program, what's the confidence level? They've taken out Auburn before. They've got to get through Auburn before you potentially could see either Houston or Duke. The confidence level going into this matchup against the Tigers.
Yeah, I won't say it's as high as it was, as I said, coming into the tournament, but at the same time, there's just this belief that this team won't be beat. There's a belief in when you got players at the guard position like Walter Clayton, of course, and Will Richard and Elijah Martin. And that was kind of what I go back to Saturday night. And those three guys were struggling, all throughout the game, and kept thinking to myself, hey, look, there's no way this game is going to go all the way to zeros and not one of these guys step up and make a play. And, of course, that was Walter Clayton there at the end being carried by Thomas Houck, one of the best 6 men in the country. But I think the confidence level Florida and the fan base has in those three guards for Florida, I think that overcomes a lot. You just believe one of those guys, two of those guys, maybe all three will, if they're in a funk, that they will eventually break out of it. So I think that's where a lot of the confidence comes from. And a consistent All-American like Walter Clayton, we've just seen the clutch performances from him against UConn and against Texas Tech. And I think that's where a lot of the belief comes from.
From the Gator fans that you deal with, and I know it's not every single one of them, David, but is there a high level of confidence given the way that Florida dominated Auburn back in Neville Arena in the regular season heading into the semifinal on Saturday night?
I do think so. I do get that sense that there's a good bit of confidence for this matchup more so than if Florida makes it to the Final Four and probably playing the team that looks the best right now. I guess many are assuming Duke as well, the way they've looked this tournament. So I think, there are a little, maybe the fan base, I won't say the team now, the fan base probably looking ahead to a championship matchup more so than this first round matchup. But you can't, look, it's the Final Four. These are four best teams in the country. All number one seeds make it. So I think there won't be any distraction for the team in that sense. But I do think the fan base feels like, given that performance earlier in the season, without Elijah Martin, you get him back for this matchup against Auburn, that this one is more confident than if you were to make it to the championship game.
All right, before we let you go, David, I've got to ask you about the Florida Gator football program. How's the off-season work going, spring practice, things of that nature? What's going on with the Florida Gators football under Billy Napier?
Yeah, biggest story so far is, DJ Lagway not throwing this spring. With very little limited, 10, 15-minute open portions of practice.
Right.
We haven't seen DJ Lagway throw yet, so, of course, that's limited. We don't know what's going on behind closed doors. I ask and talk to people behind closed doors, and it's just maybe an overabundance of caution, but that's the biggest storyline so far, of course, having your big-time quarterback kind of limited throughout spring right now. And then the biggest question on the defensive side of the ball is getting some depth on the defensive line, but also getting a lot of young guys in the cornerback room and the safety room some reps because they're facing some injuries there right now. That's what spring practice is for. So Florida, just kind of dealing with an injury bug throughout spring practice right now.
All right, you want to give us, David, a prediction on the semifinal with Auburn? If you want to go beyond that, feel free.
I'll wear some orange and blue, a different shade of blue, orange and blue glasses here. So, of course, I will lean Florida for this route. But Florida's going to have to play better in this matchup. And if they happen to win this matchup and go to the Final Four, right now I'd say it'd be tough to beat Duke given what I've seen of this Florida team. Now, maybe Florida plays Houston. But at least for this first matchup of the Final Four, I'll probably take a little bit of bias and go with the Gators right now.
That is David Waters. Always appreciate your time and insight of the Florida Athletic Program. You can catch all of his work, the Gators Breakdown Podcast. David, appreciate it very much. We'll talk to you soon.
Hey, thank you very much, guys.
Thank you. That's David Waters joining us on the Higginbotham Partline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services.
Some other college basketball news we will get to. Also, a special edition of Pat Ponders. We continue live from Social Taco on this Taco Tuesday, three-man front, and you're home for March Madness. Jocks 94.5.
Welcome back to Three Man Front. We're live at Social Taco until 2 o'clock. It's just been a fantastic day. It's a beautiful day out there. If you did not get an opportunity to come by and see us at lunch, we're here each and every Tuesday at Social Taco. Conrad and I, we will be down at Regions Field tomorrow. It is the Birmingham Barons Media Day as they get ready to get their season started. So we'll be down there talking to Jonathan Nelson and the Birmingham Barons tomorrow. Landrum will be starting his trek out west to the Final Four. You will join us from San Antonio on Thursday, and you'll be there Thursday and Friday on the program. Then Friday, me and Molly will be a split broadcast as you'll be joining us from San Antonio. Molly and I, we will be not too far away from where we currently are at Social Taco. We'll be at The Edge in Homewood and 18 South. So it should be a really fun week here on Three Man Front.
Yeah, it's always a fun time at Rambler Sports Bar and Grill. You can get in and want to tell you about the 283-inch projector screen. I tell you about that all the time, and the video boards and just the wall-to-wall TVs that they have. But it's an upscale sports bar experience. It's Rambler Sports Bar and Grill. You know, a lot of you've been going in and trying it out, and we've just been getting so many positive responses. I love the feedback. Thank you, and keep it coming. But a great menu, and what they want to push now is lunch. They're actually open for lunch Wednesday through Friday. So Wednesday at 11 a.m., there's free parking, and 15 minutes from the time that you place your order, if it's not ready, if you want to go through the drive-thru or the pickup, because you got a busy schedule, well, it's free. Yeah. Who else is doing that? It's Rambler Sports Bar and Grill, 1630 2nd Avenue South, near Railroad Park. Get in, watch the games, or maybe swing through and grab a great lunch, and you can check them out there at Rambler Sports Bar and Grill there at the Fennec.
So the big story just happened about 30 minutes ago. Buzz Williams, he is leaving Texas A&M for Maryland. He finished his career as an Aggie at 120 wins, 73 losses. He was 2-3 in the NCAA basketball tournament. And if you take a look at his resume, he spent 6 years at Marquette, 5 at Virginia Tech, and then 6 at Texas A&M. So I just wonder if we just pencil in Maryland looking for a new head coach in 2031 based on his history.
Maybe so.
5 to 6 years.
I've been racking my brain, and this doesn't seem like the most opportune timing, because maybe some of those other guys that Trev Alberts would have looked for, and I don't know if the ink's dry, but so I think about just guys from the state of Texas that understand it. McCaslin is at Texas Tech, probably locked into that contract. You had the guy that replaced him at North Texas who just got the new job, I think, at
West Virginia.
Mm-hmm. So he's locked up. Is there anybody else that just – because you have the guys that were on the ride, the mid-major guys, that it seems like the hottest names, they've already taken other jobs, whether it was Ryan Odom or McCollum or some of these other cats. Who is Trev Alberts looking to? I threw this out, but you want to just kind of twist the knife a little bit. Call Chris Beard at Ole Miss. Bring him back to the state of Texas.
I agree. Molly, do you know when Trev took the Texas A&M job? When did he officially take over there? Do you remember off the top of your head?
I can see if I can look.
Was it 16? Was it under 16 months ago?
Yes. Yeah.
It was? Okay. Because within the last 16 months, Texas A&M, they will have hired a new head coach in football, basketball, and baseball within a 16-month time frame.
It was March. It was a year, March 14th, 24.
Okay. So 16 months, Texas A&M has had to replace the major 3 coaches in their athletics program.
I think the first call you make is to Hoiberg. I'm glad you reacted.
Don't even go there.
I knew I was not going to get any reaction from our Scarlet.
Yeah.
Sorry, Molly, it was too easy. They don't want Hoiberg down there. He wouldn't fit in with the culture.
No, he's busy in the Crown tournament.
Yeah, he's in Vegas right now.
He's trying to get his NIL up to $300,000 by winning that tournament.
Yep.
That's what he's trying to do.
He's lactose intolerant.
Is he?
I don't know. Just thinking about the Mary Milkman.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, wow, that's kind of a weird stat for you to understand or know. Don't know how you knew that, but all right, let's go to the phones. 1-800-239-WJOX. Poe wants to join us on the program. Good afternoon, Poe. Hope you're well.
Man, good afternoon, Jazz and Molly. Y'all doing all right?
We are doing great. I hope you are.
Good. Hey, one thing I want to say, man, I love y'all. I love what you do, and I like my two guys in the morning time, man, Jamie and Mitch and Conrad. But look, over the weekend, man, I went to March Madness here and my son. So we did the 4 days, Friday through Monday. And I'll let y'all know, I don't know if y'all showed up, but everything was great, man. Everything was lovely. It was packed. Crowd, the fans, everybody was beautiful there, man. So we met some people from out of town, sat beside them. I just want to let y'all know everything was great. So we need to keep that going with our city and everything.
Hey, I was going to ask you, Poe, how was the people that you met? Did they enjoy their time in Birmingham?
Yes, man. Yes, I'm talking about yes. They love Birmingham, man. Dawn Staley said it after the game that how much Birmingham loved her and how much she loved Birmingham and how well Birmingham treated her. And the ladies from Carolina that was going for South Carolina and Duke sat in front of us. We got to see them from Friday to last night, and they were talking about Birmingham and how well Birmingham treated them and how well the food is and how much they love Birmingham. So let you know that our city did great. March Madness did great for everybody that came to visit and everything. So it was lovely.
No, that's great because
that's awesome
I read where I think I did not see the attendance in last night's game, but I did see the South Carolina attendance was almost 12,000 for that game.
No, that's what got us last night. The South Carolina's attendance was 11. The attendance last night was 12.
Oh, okay. It was the other way around. Okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
It was the other way around. So that's why we was like, wow, that was crazy. Because last night attendance was over 12, and South Carolina attendance was over 11,000. It seemed like it was more folks in the night before game to South Carolina than it was last night. But last night was over 12. So
that's great.
It was beautiful.
Yeah,
that
is wonderful.
So it was beautiful. But I want to say this, y'all. I'm gonna try to show up to Social Taco and meet everybody, man, because I'm a Mississippi State fan, man, and I love what y'all be doing. But
Appreciate
my thing is with the tush push. My thing with the tush push, and I don't know how y'all feel because I was just now tuning in. But my thing is they shouldn't ban the tush push. I'm like this. Y'all got from now until September to try to stop them guys from doing the tush push. You know what I'm saying? They shouldn't ban it. That's just me. They shouldn't ban it. I mean, you getting paid all this money. Coaches and players, stop complaining and do what you're supposed to do and handle the tush push. You know what I'm saying? So that's just how I feel about it. I just think them guys getting paid all this money, man. Like, stop complaining, stop whining, and just do what you're supposed to do.
I couldn't agree more, Poe. Yep, I agree.
To try to stop it. So I love it. I hope they don't stop it. I hope it keeps going. It's just so much to talk about, but I love y'all. Y'all just keep doing what you're doing, and hopefully I can get me and my son get down to Social Taco and
Please
see y'all.
do.
I love y'all.
Please do.
Right.
Thank you, Poe. Thank you so much. Poe and his son going and hanging out and being a part of the March Madness of
That's
the
so
women's
good to hear,
tournament.
though. Not that I ever doubted it, but whether it's city of Birmingham, whether it's city of Hoover, just what we have here in Birmingham and the encompassing area and hosting events, just we get it.
I tell you,
we get it.
Broadcasting live many years when it was almost every other year, the SEC and the BJCC was hosting major college basketball. I'm talking about Elite Eights on a constant basis. And then, of course, a couple of years ago, we had the men's opening 2 rounds of the tournament, in which we were fortunate because Alabama and Auburn got an opportunity to play down there. That was kind of a perfect storm. But yeah, it's
Major
phenomenal.
League Baseball came here to Rickwood Field.
Oh man!
And the city of Birmingham showed out.
Absolutely. So I know we get a black eye a lot of times,
and some of it's rightfully so
for a lot of things. But man, it goes without saying what they have done to the BJCC Legacy Arena, what obviously the Friends of Rickwood and Major League Baseball did to Rickwood Field. We've just got Protective Stadium. I saw over the weekend where I believe was it a motocross event that was sold out at Protective Stadium. I mean, I saw a lot of stuff on social media. It was just an incredible atmosphere at downtown Birmingham. So, we have a lot of things to be proud of. Now we just need to get the Stallions to winning some football games and pack that thing out in about 2 weeks.
I think the Stallions are going to be fine.
I think there will be too.
But this has not been a good start to my spring sports season.
No, it hasn't.
My Braves are 0-5.
Your teams are
0-6.
Your teams are 0-6. Oh, well. We'll do some Pat Ponders coming up next. We're live at Social Taco. This is Jocks 94.5.
.132, we continue live from Social Taco here in Homewood. We got Pat Ponders on the way. Some news out of Auburn. Bruce Pearl telling the media that Janai Broom's not going to practice today or Wednesday, and he's going to pick it back up Thursday as the Tigers begin on-court preparation for Saturday's Final Four showdown with number 1 seed Florida there at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio. And then Pearl going on to say that he needs that elbow to rest. Fortunately, he's got no injury, but he did put some stress on the joint. So I don't know how much extra work at this point Janai Broom needs. They need him 100% or as close to it.
I agree.
Come game time.
Former Auburn guard Trey Donaldson, who Auburn saw in the Michigan game, he is back in the transfer portal.
Trey Donaldson, good player, a physical guard, but the other night he got exposed a little bit, felt like. But, yeah, for him to go ahead and decide that he's going to go somewhere else, I wonder if it's back in the SEC. He was highly recruited, if you remember, as a football player.
Yes. Was he a quarterback?
I think he was recruited as a safety.
But, I mean, didn't he play high school?
Yeah,
probably
just
played
super
both
talented.
ways. Probably played quarterback and safety.
Uber talented. But I'm sure that Trey Donaldson, I don't know what kind of money that he's going to command, but he's a good player, and somebody could certainly use his services. What, does he come back to Auburn? Is this the year of the return?
Where Rylan Griffin comes back and Trey Donaldson comes back?
You got Michie coming back to South Carolina.
Yeah.
Does Rylan Griffin from Kansas go back to Alabama, and does Trey Donaldson come back to Auburn? Interesting. How about our friends at Mystic Beverage, Blount County, Alabama? That's where they make these great products. And it's the sparkling water that's infused with cannabinoids, the Delta 8, the Delta 9, all that good stuff. And there's different stuff that they offer depending on whatever kind of mood you're trying to achieve. I love the Lift Blend. It's got the coffee bean extract. It's also got the Delta 9 and the CBD and the CBG, but it's going to pick you up during the day. It is safe to consume at work. I will crush a few when I'm tired, especially during the football season, or if I'm watching late night tournament basketball. It's a great alternative to alcohol if you're choosing not to drink or you don't drink. But the Lift Blend, but also the High Hills Delta 9, that got me through a storm night when my two young nephews, who I love, decided to come over to the sports room, and they thought that everything that I had down there was a toy. That is not. That is a collectible. I will teach them that later on in life. But also the Nirvonic Delta 8. 25 milligram, 15 milligram. You want to go 20 milligram with some of these products, you can do it. MysticBeverage.com. Check them out, and you can find them at your local Piggly Wiggly.
We do it every day. I come up with 5 questions brought to you by Courtesy GMC. Molly, sometimes Conrad, if he decides to be on the show or not, he's got that in his contract. He comes and goes as he pleases.
Oh.
Or Landrum, this is Pat Ponders. Brought to you by Courtesy GMC in Trussville. Go by and see them right off of I-459 exit 32. Don't drive anywhere else. Just drive right there to Trussville. Get the best deals you're going to find on any GMC in the state of Alabama. That is Courtesy GMC. Question number 1. Alabama's basketball loss to Duke. If you were to make that the equivalent of a loss in the football season for Alabama, what would it be?
Score-wise, I would say that would be the Oklahoma game. But, I don't know, Oklahoma game.
Yeah, I'd probably go Oklahoma because I wouldn't say Vanderbilt.
Wasn't a whole lot.
And I really wouldn't say Tennessee.
There was not a whole lot you could take from that. I could take from that game, Alabama against Duke, and say, well, they did that really well.
Yeah. Probably
A lot of it had to do with Duke. But, yeah, I think Norman, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
It was – while when Duke jumped out, I never thought that Alabama was going to take the lead or win the game. It was pretty evident, even with Cooper Flagg being a little bit off his normal game. Oklahoma, you still had some hope, like, is Alabama going to wake up or they're going to do it? But that would be the closest for me. What about you?
The way the game started, I know the final score Alabama lost, but it was 20, right? 85-65. I was equating it to Michigan.
Okay. You know what? I was thinking regular season.
Yeah, me too, Landrum.
When they're not playing for a championship, Pat, I just forget it.
It's like it didn't happen.
There's only so much room in this tiny brain of mine. But Michigan would be a good one.
Because it was so ugly.
Yeah.
And then they kind of battled back a little bit.
That's good, yeah.
Kind of reminded me of the second half of the game. Because, at one point Alabama did get 8, 9, under 10, and then Duke just flexed, and it was over. It was basically kind of almost like what Michigan. Plus, it's a blue blood,
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that's a good comparison.
All right, question number 2. Coastal Carolina football is now offering free concessions this fall for all their football games. So last season they averaged 18,000 fans per game. Now that was an increase of about 8% from the previous year. Do you guys see the increasing of their attendance because now they're going to offer free concessions?
Yeah. There'll be some people that take them up on it. Just if you were averaging 18,000.
And the place only seats 21,000. So you're already at 90-something% from a capacity standpoint, and now you're offering free concessions.
You know what this tells me? Word's already gotten back to AD. Coach, we're going to suck this year.
You think that's the word? You think that's why?
Incentivize them.
You think that's why?
I don't know. No, I'm just throwing out a kind of a funny theory, but
I think so.
There will be people that go just for the free concessions.
I mean, it's free food.
So apparently the fans that purchase tickets will be able to visit the concession stands and be able to acquire 4 items per visit. Your selection is going to include nachos, hot dogs, popcorn, or fountain drinks.
Absolutely.
And I know you only have the information they provide. I'm wondering, per visit, is that per game or just per trip to the concession stand?
It says that you have to use their app because that's how they're going to track how many times you come through there.
Yeah, okay.
Now alcohol and food from vendors outside the main concessions, that will be available on other concourses. But if you want popcorn, hot dogs, nachos, or fountain drinks, free of charge.
It's a great idea.
Now the question is, how much did their tickets go up?
Yeah, something. Unless they're just doing it out of the goodness of their heart and they're going to take a hit. But given everything that schools are incurring within their athletic department with revenue sharing and some of the uncertainty there, I can't see that. You're right, Pat. How much do those season tickets go up?
Yeah, I texted my buddy Scott Hamilton, columnist there at the Charleston Post-Courier.
Yeah.
And I asked him, I said, how can they do this? And I think he's writing a big story about it.
Yeah.
He said he's investigating it because I would just love to know the logistics and the money involved.
Yeah, because a program on that kind of level, I could see doing it and not blinking an eye would be Liberty.
Mm-hmm.
You come to our games, we got free concessions. Enjoy, you're our guest.
Go to High Point, you get free steaks at the steakhouse.
Yeah,
or you
ice
get
cream.
Free ice cream along campus.
After you scarf down a T-bone, you go and enjoy some soft serve, which is still amazing.
All right, so
and one of my
technically-
favorite NCAA tournament team facts.
So you and Molly both believe that their attendance will go up. So that'll be worth watching this year.
Yeah, it'll go up.
I think so.
At least for a game or two. And then people will be like, no, I'll buy my own hot dogs and I'll stay at home if I got to watch that crap.
Yeah, that's true. All right, next question. On this date in 1985, the original Air Jordan sneakers were released to the public. What was your all-time favorite athletic shoe? Whether you owned it, you liked the way it looked, whatever the case may be.
It still goes back to the original Air Jordan. It's so funny you said that because I watched the movie Randomly Air the other night with Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. By the way, just side note, Ben Affleck
being portly,
being Phil Knight with the, he's got the
I
long
thought you were talking about,
legs with the Nike Lycra running.
Yeah.
But then his shoulders are so. Anyways, this is a little weird. Great movie. It's the original that they made for Jordan when they made the pitch to he and his family. Those are the ones, and I told you that story. My mom and Nike. It was still kind of coming onto the scene. This would have been the early '80s or '85 when I saw the shoe and I wanted it. My mom didn't know. She didn't know a swoosh.
Yeah.
A swoosh from there was one that a company came out with, Pat, and right here, instead of the swoosh, it forked.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the same color. There's no way they could get away with it today. It's like kind of a cheaper version of it. But I was so disappointed. But I didn't want to break my mom's heart. Ended up getting the shoes. But it was those original.
But it was your favorites?
It was, yes.
Okay.
And I wanted a pair of wanted a members-only jacket. Got one of those. This was all about the same time. And then didn't they call them, maybe they're not parachute pants, but it was the pants, and it was kind of like a members-only jacket material, but they had a bunch of zippers, a bunch of different pockets.
When you started describing it, I thought you were talking about Zubas. Do you remember Zubas?
Zubas? Oh, was that the NFL with the crazy designs, the little chef pants?
Yes.
I had a pair of those.
Did you really?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
My brother has a pair of those.
Zubas?
Yeah.
Those are great.
I had some of the Zubas.
What about you, athlete from Nebraska? What's your favorite athletic shoe?
See, right now I have a pair of Nike Airs, or they're called Air Maxes, I think, and I love them. But I feel kind of bad because, Nebraska is obviously an Adidas school, so I wore Adidas for 4 years. So I kind of feel like I'm cheating on them. But, I'm not I don't go there anymore, so it's fine. But I will say I never had a problem with my Adidas shoes. They were all very comfortable. I saw them and I thought they looked cute, so I bought them.
Okay.
By the way, Sky just texted in instantly. He said those were called parachute pants.
Oh, were they?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was thinking the parachute pants were like the MC Hammer pants. I don't know why.
You know what my favorite shoes were?
What?
Look them up. The Terminators. Nike Terminators. Made famous by the Georgetown Hoyas.
Okay. Yep.
I like those, Pat.
That's a good-looking shoe.
Yeah.
Did it have the thing at the top? The strap? For your extra ankle support? Or those? That's a good-looking shoe.
No, they were kind of the dark gray and the blue.
Mm-hmm.
And on the back it had Nike across.
I liked another one of my favorite shoes was the Nike Bo Jackson cross trainer.
Yes, that was a good one.
I liked my Heelys. Or my wheelies,
Did
whatever
you
they
really?
were called. Yeah, I had a pair.
Oh my goodness, you had those.
In Michigan, we had
That's what I had.
like a long driveway that went down a hill, and me and all my neighbors growing up, we would put on our Heelys and ride down the driveway with them.
So,
were
Molly,
pink.
you know the ones I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Third favorite pair of shoes would have been the Converse that you could change the color of the Converse logo on the side of the shoe. It had the plastic covering on it, but if you wanted to go with a purple, or at the time I was a big Lakers fan as a kid, purple or gold or any color, you had little cards and you could change the color of your
Wait.
Converse logo
I
with
remember
whatever
that.
you were wearing.
Yep.
Landrum, when I was in middle school, I had a pair of Converse, and they were clear so that you could see what color socks you were wearing. They were my favorite shoe, and I was like
Nice.
in 5th grade. And
Yep.
so I could match whatever my outfit was. Like if I was
Oh,
wearing
wow.
an orange shirt, I would wear orange
Orange
socks.
socks.
You got to
And
tie
could
it all
see
in, right?
Yeah. And that was my
That's so
favorite
funny.
thing. I would wear those shoes every day because I could just, you know what, I would buy like these fun socks so that you could see them. Yeah,
Of
they
course,
were clear Converse.
Wayne Quick texts me and he says that his favorite was his Adidas. Run DMC. Adidas.
Yeah, the Adidas, the all leather Adidas.
Yep. Good stuff. So I'm telling you, that was my favorite shoe. And so many of the people that I used to play basketball with, they didn't like it because nobody liked Georgetown. I didn't particularly like Georgetown. I just liked that shoe. I liked the look, and it was very comfortable.
The Air Jordans that came out is when we had Just for Feet or whatever it was back then, 2 feet ahead. The one that had there's so many different Jordans.
But you like the originals.
It was a
the
newer
best.
style, and I think it was after the originals. Those were actually pretty cool. Was that the 80s or was that 90s that those came out? Yeah, these right here. Yeah, I loved these when they came out.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yep. Those are good.
That had like the netting. They're on the side of the shoe. People who are driving just trying to imagine. But, yeah, 80s Air Jordans. Those were – I love the smell of new shoes. I still love the smell of – I'm going to buy a new pair of shoes today. I don't even know what I'm going to buy. I have a problem. I really do. I have a problem.
All right, that is today's Pat Ponders, brought to you by Courtesy GMC and Trussville. Get by and see them right off of I-459 exit 32 next to Lowe's off of Edwards Lake Road in Trussville.
We continue live here from Social Taco. We have friends that are still enjoying each other's company. We're glad you're with us. 3-Man Front and Jocks 94.5.
I imagine we're getting some good text messages off the shoe question. It's just a thought.
They are. Somebody just, one of our great listeners who listens on the Jocks app there in the Mobile area, just sent us a picture of, or a video of Auburn, and they got the jerseys they're going to wear in the Final Four, breaking those out with the Under Armour for maybe the final 2 games of Auburn basketball because they go to Nike next year. But the Under Armour
is gold. And it reminds me a lot of what they did, Under Armour did on the Notre Dame jerseys. You know?
Yeah.
Kind of changing things up. And if you remember, when Alabama played in the college football playoff a couple times, they changed the Nike logo. Kind of made it look kind of pearlish as opposed to just the standard white. Kind of a.
So I'm thinking about, so we have 1 Under Armour, 1 Nike, and 2 Jordan. Is that the manufacturers in the Final Four? Is Houston? That's Jordan,
Houston,
right?
Man. For some reason, I don't want to say they are. I think there's 2 Jordans. Duke is just Nike, right?
I think Duke's just Nike. I'm almost positive that Houston is a Jordan school. Sorry, we're both typing, trying to figure this out. I shouldn't have asked. Yes. Well, it shows it here that they're the Jordan brand.
Okay.
You like the cursive look for Houston across? What if they break out the baby blues?
You mean the Houston Oilers baby blues?
Would the NFL have a problem with that?
I'm sure they'd.
Would they allow them to play?
I think the NFL would show up and give them a cease and desist, and they would come on the court and they would physically remove them off the court.
Oh, you're going back to your favorite athletic shoe growing up, and we're getting a lot of these. Brad text in, another text coming in. The Penny Hardaways were sick, according.
Yeah, I forgot
Reebok
about
pumps.
those.
Reebok pumps. You ever have any of the Reebok pumps? No. I'm guessing you didn't. D. Brown, dunk contest. Inflating them. What's some other ones that were there? Yeah, Mike in T-Town says the Reebok pump. That was innovative, and that was one that everybody at school, they wanted to have.
Did you have that one? Did you ever try some on and see if it would
I did. I never
work?
owned a pair of the pumps, and there was a guy who had the pumps. I think it was 4th grade, 5th grade, and you had the little pocket down here, and another one of our classmates took a pin and popped where the pump was not functional.
Oh, wow.
And even me at 4th grade and knowing how much those cost and how much those were going to set my parents back, I was like, golly, that would break my heart if that happened to my shoe.
Yep.
And I couldn't pump them up. But, yeah, the pumps, that was another one. L.A. Gear tried to make a run.
Yeah, I remember those.
Was that AC Green that they used to rock the L.A. Gear?
Mm-hmm.
I like the Ken Griffey shoe. Somebody letting us know about that. The Jordan 4 or the Jordan Retro 4s, the infrared, pretty cool. Was it Andre Agassi's? Did you have a pair of those?
I did not.
Now you're a little bit. Do you have a shoe problem like I do? You've got a lot of good-looking shoes. You said you just got some new umpiring shoes. My problem is if I'll buy shoes for a certain occasion. Like I've got the spikes. I got a pair of one-game worn Nike, really nice baseball spikes.
When you were a bat boy for the Barons.
Yeah, I wanted to fit in. I wanted to be part of the crew.
The click-clack.
I actually got compliments from I was like, maybe I bought 2 nice ones. They were like,
manager compliment you?
No, not manager at the time. It was hitting coach that complimented me. Yeah. You guys are going to be with the Barons, what, tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Me and Conrad.
Hopefully they start better than our Braves did. My Braves, not yours.
Yeah, not mine.
Ryan says, I'm trying to wrap my head around Buzz Williams' thing. I got this question. Apart from the $20 million cap being funded directly by the universities, how is an elite athlete earn income above what is paid through the school. Has that been determined, or is that still being ironed out?
Still being ironed out, but the general feeling is that individual schools will have the opportunity to, up towards $20 to $21 million in your athletic department to fund NIL.
British Knights.
BK.
Someone asking, Landrum, do you have left-hand or right-hand bowling shoes? Yes, people, it's a thing. Right. I got a bowl tonight, man.
Man, before you get on the plane early in the morning?
Yeah, last 2 weeks we won 12 out of 14 points. It's kind of a big deal. It's now or never. We have not been good so far this season. But our schedule runs a lot like NASCAR's. 9 months out of the year. That's going to do it for us. Appreciate all of you, all of our friends here at Social Taco. Come and join us on the patio. Happy hour starts 1 hour from now. Paul Feinbaum starts right now.